What's going on, fellow A-Plusers? It's your boy, Adam Perez. We are back once again with a brand new live episode of A-Plus Hero Report, your weekly stop for your Marvel, DC, television, and movie news, streaming live for you guys today. Fantastic to have you guys back after our Thanksgiving vacation. We are, in fact, back with 6 incredible topics, some honorable mentions, and, of course, your guys' live viewer questions. So sit back, relax, grab your coffee, enjoy the show, and we'll see you guys on the other side. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're certainly watching us from today. It is I, your host, and my co-host, Stuart Branscombe, back once again. What's going on, Stu? Good to see you, buddy.
Hey, good to see you. Good to be back. How was your Thanksgiving?
It was great, man. It was great. I had a great time with the family. Got to do some cooking around the house. We didn't host this year, thankfully, but we did go over to my girlfriend's mom's house. Small little gathering, honestly. It was just like her mom, her siblings, and one of her siblings' friends, and me and our little boy. So it was pretty nice, man. Can't really complain. How about yours?
Same here. Yeah, no, those are the exact kind of Thanksgivings I love when it's kind of like just small and just like, just when it's like just like probably one family instead of like multiple families all together. I don't know. I kind of prefer it like the simpler it is, the better it is. Yeah, it was really relaxing. And I think maybe it's because like, the cliche of when you have the whole family over, that's when, things get heated when someone brings up politics. And thankfully, when it's just me and my family, that is like never a thing that I'm worried about. So yeah, my Thanksgiving was incredibly chill. I cannot complain.
Nice. Yeah, we were trying to find some Thanksgiving like movies to watch or put on in the background. I think we started out with Matilda. I don't even know if Matilda's really like Thanksgiving-ish or not, but it felt kind of appropriate watching it. And then afterwards, we did put on Knives Out, which I think Knives Out is a cool Thanksgiving sort of classic also. So yeah,
Definitely.
two bangers to say the least. But yeah, it was good, man. I'm kind of glad it's over, but I feel like just November and all of December is just all holidays. Like I November kicks off with my son's birthday on the 7th, so it's like we're already celebrating then, and then we dive into Thanksgiving, and then it feels like everybody's birthday's in December in my family, so it stays kind of busy around here, man.
Yeah.
Do you have a Christmas tree up yet?
No, not yet. But we do have one in the closet that we're getting ready to put up. Unfortunately, like just with our apartment, getting a real Christmas tree just is just too much of a hassle. So we're going with the fake Christmas tree. But yeah, we do have it in our closet. We just are waiting for like I don't know. We'll have it up eventually.
Yeah, I might try and put ours up later on today. I am a sucker for real Christmas trees. I love Christmas trees. I've really always had real Christmas trees up until maybe about, I'd say maybe like 6, 7, 8 years ago or so. Started getting the artificial ones. We did invest in an artificial Christmas tree around here with some lights on it already. So if anything, we'll put it up and slowly start decorating it here. Now that my thing is, once Thanksgiving is over, it's okay to put the tree up. But I know some people just like to completely ignore Thanksgiving and just put it up after Halloween. Like, hey, whatever works, whatever floats your guys' boat. But I like to give Thanksgiving a chance.
I jokingly will say, speaking of Christmas trees, that Japan totally stole my family's tradition because one thing that we used to, and I say that completely as a joke, because one thing that we used to do all the time is anytime we would get a Christmas tree, we always, and I don't even know when we started making this a thing, but we always did Christmas tree and KFC the same night. So we'd get
Mm,
a Christmas tree, and then on our way back, we get like several buckets of KFC, and then that
nice.
would be kind of our thing while setting up the tree and
Send up the tree.
decorating. We'd eat KFC. And
That's dope.
apparently, that weirdly specific thing is common in Japan, which I found absolutely hilarious.
I had no idea, man. That's pretty cool little tradition. Yeah, I don't think we have a tradition when we put up our Christmas tree, but I'm learning, as I grew up, we would always open our presents on Christmas Day, but
Mhm.
I'm learning more and more people like to open their presents like Christmas Eve. I don't know if it's like a cultural thing or whatever the case may may be, but like my girlfriend, she says that when they open their presents, they always got gathered together on Christmas Eve as a family and open up presents, and then just kind of spent Christmas Day chilling or going to the movies. Which I went to my first Christmas movie last year. We saw Nosferatu, I believe. And I love this tradition now. I'm like, I want to go to the movies every Christmas Day if I can. It was so much fun. People were showing up in their pajamas and their blankets and stuff. I mean, it was pretty fun. Do you do it like, do you open your presents on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day or what?
For me and my family, the tradition's always been Christmas Day. In
Mm-hmm.
fact, like I remember like being really young and hearing that, yeah, some kids do open like or sometimes there's the whole you open one present on
Uh-huh.
Christmas Eve, before Christmas. But yeah, I remember hearing like about that and going, oh, I'm so jealous. I want to, because as a kid, you just want to get right to the presents. So I'm like, I
Yeah.
want to just open my presents now.
Yeah, it's now that we have a son, it's interesting to kind of see how we try and maybe blend some of our traditions or how we do things. The idea of maybe opening one or two on Christmas Eve is probably something that we'll end up doing if we're going to have big kind of gatherings the day before. But there's a part of me that kind of wants to keep that idea of like Santa is real, right? Like he comes
Of
on
course.
Christmas and he brings the presents to you, so he has something to look forward to on Christmas Day. We'll see. I don't think most of the family on her side kind of believe in the whole Santa aspect of things. So we'll see if he gets like spoiled of it or like learns of it sooner than I'd like. So I still feel like I have to tell everyone in the family he thinks Santa's real, guys. Like beforehand, just so they don't spoil it for him. But we'll see, man. I'm looking forward to it. As he gets older each year, I get more excited to kind of see how he perceives Christmas.
Yeah, I'd say like yeah, between the ages of 1 and 5, maybe 1 and 6. I feel like that's like the prime age of like yes, we need to convince him that Santa is real.
If anything, any toy commercial that he sees now, he wants it. I mean, it don't matter what it is. It could be a Barbie playhouse. He's like, I want that, daddy. It could be a Hot Wheels racetrack. I want that, daddy. And I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, yeah,
Yeah,
propaganda for kids.
that's exactly right. It's at least like now it's not as common to see it in like cartoons as it would have been like in the 80s. So like the actual like advertising of the product in the cartoon. I mean, for me, I still had that like in the 2000s with Yu-Gi-Oh. It's like every episode. Oh, that card looks so powerful. I must add it to my deck.
I love it. I love it. That's cool, man. Well, look, guys, we are so glad that you're here with us. Thank you so much for being patient with us over our Thanksgiving weekend, getting an opportunity to recover a little bit. And we are, in fact, back to push through out into the Christmas holiday for you guys. We got some great videos that are going to be dropping here in the next coming weeks. We're going to look back at 2025 at our top 5 most anticipated movies that we had for 2025. We're going to rank those in regards to, did they hold up in regards to our most anticipated? Did we like them the most? We're also going to be doing a most anticipated for 2026 for you guys as well. So certainly look forward to that in a couple of weeks. But look, as we go through these topics, guys, remember, at the end of the day, these are simply our A+ opinions. We always want to know yours, so let your thoughts be known in the comments, in the live chat. So we have more conversation pieces, and certainly add your thoughts to our discussions. Let's see who is in fact joining us in our live chat here today. We got Ricky Perez. I'm assuming this is Enrique. Ricky Perez coming through. Saturday morning during Monday Night Football, they showed a first look at the upcoming second season of Percy Jackson, and it will be arriving on Disney Plus soon. I did see the trailer, and it looks fantastic, dude. Like
Mhm.
as somebody who only watched like the first couple of episodes of Percy Jackson season 1, season 2 looks leaps and bounds better than what season 1 did. So it looks like they're really pushing the envelope. So I'm kind of hyped for people to check out season 2. Disney Channel.
I remember when I was watching the movie with my fiance for Percy Jackson 2, because I thought the first one was just meh, but I really liked season 1 of Percy Jackson, so I was curious to watch the second movie to get an idea of where they might go with season 2. And I gotta say, I think what pissed me off the most about that movie is that it was bad, but it had so many cool plot elements going for it. So looking at like season 2, it's like if they screw this up again, then like I don't know how that would even be possible with everything that they got to work with. So I think that as long as you get competent writers, season 2 is going to be really good.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, they already greenlit a season 3, so they must like what they're seeing so far. Also, Disney Channel is going to be airing all the episodes of Monsters at Work season 2 and the movie Monsters University right before Monsters Fun Day Football at 8 p.m. Also, Pixar's Elio and Zootopia 2 is nominated for Critics' Choice Awards. Yeah, I hear like Zootopia 2 has made over like $500 million worldwide so far. It might even be more than that right now. I think this is its second weekend. I might have to do a quick box office mojo on that, see how much Zootopia 2 is. Like, was Zootopia really that good? I don't think I've ever seen it before, but like people are talking like it's the second coming of Toy Story or something, as much money as this movie is making. Is Zootopia truly that great of a movie?
I just thought it was fun.
Yeah.
Definitely very on the nose with it, trying to, have this message of like, I guess you could say it's like, the message of xenophobia and all that kind of stuff. But the main difference, obviously, being that these are animals like
Animals.
built on instincts compared to like humans. So the message to some people definitely gets lost because of that. But for me, I just think it's a really fun movie. Definitely worth a watch.
Okay, yeah, maybe I'll check it out. Wonderful World of Disney Holiday Spectacular. They showing the first look at the upcoming Avatar Fire and Ash. Yeah, tickets are on sale right now for Avatar Fire and Ash. I tried to look up opening day tickets and they're completely sold out already. So good luck finding some tickets if you can. Finally, 2026 is going to be big. We got Avengers Doomsday, Toy Story 5, live action Moana, Super Mario Galaxy movie, and trust me, so much more, Ricky.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I am expecting big trailers here relatively soon. Avengers Doomsday trailer should be coming out. I would not be surprised if we get like a Supergirl poster and teaser trailer here within the next 48 hours, to be quite honest with you. I wouldn't be surprised if they reveal something here because I do kind of expect a lot of these big movie trailers for 2026 to drop in front of Avatar. I'm still waiting on Masters of the Universe trailer also. So those are like the three most anticipated trailers I'm looking forward to. Avengers Doomsday, Masters of the Universe, and Supergirl. But I feel like if we're closer to any of them, I think we're closer to Supergirl right now.
Mm.
Blossom's in the house. Good to see you, Blossom. We got Darth Gutierrez in here. Appreciate it. He says tight t-shirt and beanie fellas, DC all day.
Heck
Yeah,
yes.
absolutely. And talking about Christmas, he says for sure it's a cultural tradition. He says growing up, we opened them on Christmas, the 25th. A little later on, it was Christmas Eve. Cool. Thanks. Appreciate knowing what your guys' tradition is out there, Darth. Appreciate that, man. Marcelino in the house. Fiona and Cake season 2 has been excellent so far.
Did you ever watch Adventure Time?
No.
Oh.
I watched maybe one or two of the first episodes. People tell me like it's like mind blowing. But I haven't given it a shot to really know for myself. But it's always one of those things I've wanted to check out, but I've never checked out.
Yeah, I unfortunately grew up in the age of my specific generation. I mean, like people born in 95. There were a lot of us that just like were hey, this cartoon is not like our cartoons, which are better, so a lot of us didn't give it the chance that it deserved. I didn't watch it just because I think I was just like out of the age range for Cartoon Network at the time. But then I did eventually go back to it like in college, watch the first, I can't remember how many seasons, but I enjoyed it. I don't know why I never got back, why I never finished it. So maybe one of these days.
Yeah, I've always heard really great things about it, from its messages, from the stories and everything. It's something pretty spectacular, people say. Um, Dar says, is Zootopia doing really that good at the box office? Yeah, worldwide right now, looking at Box Office Mojo, $672 million.
Dang.
Yeah, $672 million worldwide. It's made a lot of that money internationally, $484 million. So maybe it's more of an international thing, but 180 something here domestically ain't bad. But yeah, Indy in the house. This is love the hair. Miss you, Stu. Thanks,
Miss you
man.
too.
Your boy needed a haircut because the fro was getting out of control. Had to get into my men's health look. You know what I'm saying? Trying to
Looks good.
get that cover shoot one day. Um, Marcelina says Zootopia literally made $1 billion at the box office. That's crazy. Marcelino says Zootopia is currently sitting at 916 million. Maybe this update hasn't kicked in for this weekend's expectations yet. Maybe okay, so this looks like this is Friday's number. This might be Friday's number, 672 million. So maybe they haven't quite adjusted yet for Saturday and Sundays as of right now. So yeah, we'll definitely get back to you on that. But look, guys, if you want to help out the show monetarily, we do have super chats available, super images. Feel free to donate whatever you can to the channel. Trust me when I say I know it's tight in them streets. People are living paycheck to paycheck. You got to feed your families. But if you do have any chump change laying around that you can help out the channel with, we certainly would appreciate it. We don't have any sponsors or anything like here. Our growth is solely dependent on you guys. So whatever you can help out with the channel, please certainly go ahead and do so, but no pressure. If you want to help out the channel free of charge, that's great too. Hit the like button, literally takes you like 3 seconds. Feel free to share these videos, clip them, put them around if you want to. Let people know about A Plus Hero Report. Word of mouth is always fantastic. We would definitely appreciate that as well. We got Peg C in the house. Good to see you in here, man. I know you said you're going to be able to join us today, so it's going to be great to have you around, Peg C, as always, man. But Stuart, are you ready to go ahead and kick off this show with me, man?
I am indeed.
Let's get into our first segment of the day. I think I should be able to pull this out. Let me see if I can do this. Success. Sometimes my my internet wants to be a little bit slow. Speaking of Adventure Time, actually says Adventure Time was a new era of cartoons where you create 15-minute episodes. They're more comedic and character focused instead of action heavy, and then once you build an audience, then you add action and story.
I was actually like kind of saying that with because even though I again never got super into Adventure Time, I did notice that was kind of like where that trend with animation started was Adventure Time, where a lot of shows, and I think like the show that perfected this formula was like BoJack Horseman, where it really starts out like as kind of a goofy comedy. There might be like hints here and there of like some deeper meaning behind what we see on the surface, and there might be like aspects of bigger world building that we'll see later on. But for the most part, a good chunk of like the beginning of season 1 of BoJack Horseman was just a full-on comedy. But then as it got, going, you would get the darker themes. And then by the end of the show, it just kind of stops being funny and it just kind of becomes a drama.
Do you have any honorable mentions that you
I
want to go ahead and
do.
kick off with today?
I have the dumbest honorable mention I think I've ever done on this show. But I wanted to throw in my 2 cents on what might be the dumbest debate in any fandom ever. First of all, I want to say I absolutely love Smiling Friends and I love the Smiling Friends fandom. So I have to get some context first. So this happened in an episode that premiered a couple days ago where Charlie and Pim had to help a small village of the Smeloogles, which are basically Smurf parodies. They had to help them smile, but like while there, a lot of their people get taken by this evil wizard, and so Charlie leads the Smeloogles to save both Pim and all the other Smeloogles that have been taken by this evil wizard. But then out of nowhere, you get this ending scene where the king of the Smeloogles accuses Charlie of basically using his phone to take a photo underneath the Princess Schmaloogel's dress. And this is the image that people have been using as evidence. And what I absolutely love about the Smiley Friends fandom is that people are debating about this as if Charlie is a real person. People are really getting into this on TikTok about like whether or not he actually did this. So, you know, I'm going to give my 2 cents on whether or not I think Charlie is the kind of person that would do that. And first of all, I have to say this image is fake. This is photoshopped. We know because I've watched this episode, and this never happens in the episode. This is the actual shot we get in the episode. He is in no way, he has no phone on him. He is going up there to save his friend. That is the only thing that is on his mind. So I am just going to say this. I do not believe Charlie took a picture of Princess Schmaloogel's underwear. I do not think that was even on his mind at all. You know, so just because this is something that the fandom is talking about, and I consider myself a Smiley Friends fan, I'm going to give my thoughts on it, and that's where I stand.
Nice. Setting the record straight, Stuart. Appreciate it, man.
And all that to be said, if you guys haven't seen Smiling Friends, just wrapped its 3rd season. It is one of the best animated shows out there. It is like my favorite, like current running show. I think actually probably like my favorite of all time. That's on the air currently. I don't know. It's a great show. Definitely check it out, guys.
All right, awesome. Appreciate that one, Stuart. Some other honorable mentions that we got for you. We got a new poster this week for the upcoming Nicolas Cage Spider-Noir, as Spider-Noir comes into the live action realm here. I think we saw a brief teaser trailer months and months ago. It's been a while. But over at the Brazilian convention that's currently going on, I believe, CCXP, they did drop a brand new poster here as the series is set to go ahead and be on Prime Video. I don't know exactly a release date yet, but this isn't the only poster they gave us. They also gave us the same one, but in color, to announce the idea that the series itself will be offered in both versions. You can watch Spider-Noir in its classic noir, black and white if you want to, or you can watch it in color. Stuart, I think I know which one I'm gonna be watching it in for sure.
Same here. Like I don't know, just it like the patterns just pop out more in black and white.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's just classic noir to me. I can't imagine watching this in color. I mean, maybe after I watch the run in black and white, maybe I'll go back and watch it in color. But my first viewing will certainly be in black and white. Also, if you guys are on Twitter. And Stuart, if you wouldn't mind putting up a Twitter feed for yourself, just keep track and see if oh, you don't have Twitter? Okay.
No.
Somebody pull up Twitter and just keep a track on CCXP. If there's any breaking news for us this week, let us know.
Go back to the poster real quick for Spider-Noir. So I do notice that he has the name Ben Reilly, of course, on there, which we knew beforehand. They did say that it was going to be Ben Reilly. But I also just kind of realized that, like, even to an extent, he tends to keep his identity a secret, I believe. So I'm wondering if Ben Reilly's a fake name, like Peter Parker is actually his real name in the show, but Ben Reilly's just the one that he goes by.
Interesting. That's interesting. I don't know if I've heard anybody point that one out before, but that'd be pretty dope. Let's see here. What else we got? We got Lord of the Rings in the news here this week. Apparently, the extended editions are set to return to theaters to celebrate the Fellowship of the Ring turning 25 years old. It says in honor of it turning 25, Fandom and Warner Brothers is bringing all 3 extended edition films back to the theaters next year. The film screen in D-Box presentations from January 16th to the 19th, and then in standard formats from January 23rd to the 25th. So yeah, in addition to bringing the extended films back to the big screen, Lord of the Rings themed concession items will also be available in participating theaters. AMC moviegoers can look out for limited edition popcorn buckets featuring maps of Middle Earth, while Regal and other ones will have a more of a one ring design. So yeah, get your tickets ready. At this point, the extended editions for me, Stuart, are like the only way that I watch Lord of the Rings these days. If I want to watch Lord of the Rings, it's always an extended edition version. But again, if you want to check it out in D box, it's going to be releasing January 16th through the 19th, and then in standard formats, January 23rd through the 25th of January.
I really hope they serve onion rings for when they're playing it. But yeah, no, that's funny because we've been doing that at the Draft House literally every year. I think either January or February, we always do a Lord of the Rings marathon, or not marathon, but we play all three of them.
You play them, nice.
Yeah,
I love to hear that, man. What else we got? Power Rangers is back in the news this week, simply as a confirmation that yes, the Power Rangers reboot is in fact happening. Our boy Joe Deckelmeyer, you guys remember him from the Hashtag Show and the Illuminati, and one of my friends over the years. He had the opportunity to speak with Jonathan E. Steinberg and Dan Schatz, who were the showrunners for Percy Jackson and the Olympian season 1. Looks like they were on the blue carpet event, getting ready to roll out season 2. And Joe had the opportunity to speak with them, saying that the rumors were in fact true. We did report this back like 8 months ago, I believe, back in March or so, that these two were in talks to become the showrunners for the Power Rangers television show. So we've kind of already known this, but it is always nice to hear confirmation from them, as I believe production is set to begin in January or at least early 2026 for the show. So they couldn't really give too much information. They're saying you are asking questions that you know that you can't answer. Let's just say we're very much hope to bring that story to life. So that's all I can say at this point. So yeah, they are in fact confirming that yes, they are doing Star Wars, a Power Rangers reboot. What else do we got this week? Believe it or not, Men in Black is back in the news. According to the Deadline, there's a new Men in Black film in the works from the Bad Boys for Life squad, Chris Bremner. After successfully relaunching the Bad Boy franchise, Sony Pictures looks ready to dust off its black suits and shades as a new Men in Black film is now in development. Sources tell Deadline that while no talent is attached yet, the Bad Boys for Life writer is on board to pen the next installment for the sci-fi comedy franchise. Insiders tell Deadline that the idea is once Bremner has finished the script, Will Smith will be one of the first to receive it in hopes he would reprise his role of Agent J. It is unknown how the character would be featured, whether as a starring role or just a supporting passing of the torch role, but the plan is to have the character back in the first draft at least. So they're going to test the waters and see if this is something that Will Smith would be eager to return to. But it looks like they're going to try and give another stab at Men in Black, Stuart. I'm not mad at that. I personally didn't check out the Chris Hemsworth and Tessa Thompson one personally, but I didn't hear too many great things about it. But it's always a franchise I've really enjoyed. And if they can have a good writer on board, I'd be interested to see who they wind up bringing in as director. But I'd be open for another Men in Black movie.
Oh yeah, I would too. I absolutely love the Men in Black franchise. Don't watch International. That one was really bad. But in fact, I kind of wish they went with their original plan, and that was they were at one point, and I'm not even kidding, they were going to do a 21 Jump Street Men in Black crossover. The only reason they did it was because of the Sony emails getting hacked and like all the shit that came after that. But yeah, no, International, it's funny because on paper it seemed exactly where the franchise should have gone, introducing young new characters, kind of expanding the world, showing that, you know, there's other branches of the Men in Black all around the world. But man, it was just like beyond the setup. They just did not even try in terms of like anything when it came to the writing or directing, unfortunately. But yeah, but that being said, you know, I still think they can recover. I mean, we've had 3 really solid films. I don't see why, you know, one dud means you have to give up.
Yeah, absolutely. We also got Paranormal Activity in the news here. According to the Hollywood Reporter, a new Paranormal Activity movie is in the works with James Wan joining the franchise as a producer. Juan is among those bringing a new Paranormal Activity feature to the screen. The feature has Paramount on board as a co-partner, but I think that's all it really says. James Wan did say, "I've been a huge admirer of Paranormal Activity since the brilliant first movie, with its creeping slow burn and subtle ability to make the unseen terrifying. I'm looking forward to expanding on its legacy and helping shape the new evolution of the scary found footage franchise." So yeah, James Wan coming in as producer to hopefully revive the Paranormal Activity franchise in some way, shape, or form.
That definitely has some potential.
Yeah, I think so too. Next up, real quick, when it comes to Scooby Doo is in the news, you guys know that there is a live action Scooby Doo series that's set to drop over on Netflix. I believe they're currently in the middle of doing some voice casting, but one name has already popped up for sure that they have found for the voice of Scooby Doo. Apparently, the legendary voice actor Frank Welker, who has already portrayed both Fred Jones and Scooby Doo for more than 5 decades, has joined Netflix's upcoming live action Scooby Doo series, lending his voice once again to the Great Dane. So yeah, the Scooby Doo will in fact be voiced by the classic Frank Welker, who was most notably the voice for Scooby Doo for so many years. So Scooby Doo's voice will be very recognizable when this series drops. I think that's actually kind of
Awesome.
cool.
Yeah.
And then last but not least, because it is CCXP, and I think DC Studios does have a significant presence there, we did get some first look images at Supergirl's costume, Stuart.
Ooh.
Yeah, let's go ahead and pull this up. The costume itself was on display for people to see that Millie Alcock will be, in fact, be wearing for the movie itself. Some really great angles here. I'm in love with this belt, man. I think the belt really helps this costume pop with the gold and everything. The high boots look as well. Got the skirt going. Um, the emblem itself looks very much similar, I think, to Superman, but it feels like this one takes up maybe a little bit more space on the chest area. But I kind of dig it, and also a brand new logo for Supergirl. Also, it's not the best quality, but definitely taking some familiar route. Anyway, I can't even say the word today. Definitely taking some references here from her cousin Superman in regards to the logo design, but it's got a little bit of a spray paintish paint sort of for the Supergirl logo itself. I kind of wish they went maybe a little bit of a different route, but it still pops for me. But I love the costume itself, Stu.
Yeah, I think the costume looks absolutely great. The only complaint I have is that it's a little bit too similar to Superman's, but I still think it looks really cool. I am curious because, like with Superman, I was wondering this when we were watching when the first one came out, is whether or not that would be, and I think it's because Marvel is conditioned my brain to expect another suit by the end of the movie. So because of that, I'm now asking that with this: is this going to be the Supergirl suit, or are we going to get another suit at the end of the movie, just like with a lot of Marvel movies? But then again, Superman didn't go that route, so I could see this movie also kind of sticking with this being the definitive costume as well.
I do think this is slightly different from the one that we saw her wear at the end of the Superman movie too. I think they added the bigger gold belt compared to the Superman movie one. I'll have to double check it personally, but I do think it's a slightly different variation there. But I'm ready, man. I'm so ready for to see our first look at this movie. I truly am. We did get like a teaser poster a while back. I'm ready to see more of this movie. I really do think it's coming this week, guys. So let us know your thoughts on the costume itself. But with that out of the way, Stuart, let's are you ready to go ahead and tackle these main topics with me, buddy?
Always.
Let's do it, man. Let's get into our main topics today. Ladies and gentlemen, we got a massive show here that will really impact how we view movies or the movie going experience. As for months now, we have been keeping you up to date in regards to the bidding war that was happening for Warner Brothers. We had NBC Universal at the forefront. We had Paramount vying for ownership of Warner Brothers, and we also had Netflix throwing their name in it, despite the idea for months also saying we've got no interest in Warner Brothers Discovery. We're builders, we're not buyers. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it has finally come to that. We've had all companies put in two bids worth, if not three bids for Warner Brothers, and a winner has in fact prevailed, and that is Netflix, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. Netflix has won the bidding war to therefore acquire Warner Brothers Discovery. This has definitely sent trembles, rumbles, trepidation, excitement for some people out there in regards to how the landscape of movie going will certainly be affected by this. We've even had Paramount out there throwing a tantrum, being crybabies that they lost the bid. I mean, it's all over the place, ladies and gentlemen. This has been a rather entertaining bidding war, to say the least, regardless of how you feel about who might have won this. But Netflix has, in fact, prevailed. And the
Yep.
question is, where do we go from here, Stuart? So let's talk about it. Let me bring up the first article. This is from Deadline.com. Just says confirmation. Netflix wins the bidding war for Warner Brothers Discovery. We'll start exclusive deal talks. That's right. Netflix has emerged victorious with what appears to be the highest and so far winning bid for Warner Brothers Discovery. Deadline has learned and will start exclusive talks to finalize a deal. This caps a tumultuous day that saw Paramount move aggressively to counter the giant streamer and seal a deal of its own for Warner Brothers Discovery. Netflix offered around $28 a share, mostly in cash. It's been a fast-moving auction and one that will reshape the entertainment landscape dramatically. Warner Brothers put itself up on the block back in October to open up the process. Netflix would acquire Warner Brothers Studio and HBO Max streaming assets. Paramount's offer was for all of Warner Brothers Discovery. Bloomberg is reporting that Netflix offered a $5 billion breakup fee if the deal fails to close. And Comcast also bid for the studio and the streaming business.
I find it so weird, and I'm sure like they may like talk about it like more in the article, but Paramount like trying to claim that David Zaslav made a and keep in mind I hate David Zaslav, so you know it's weird that I'm kind of defending this particular decision or this particular aspect, you know, but Paramount was like claiming that David Zaslav made a like biased, unjust decision, you know, based on how much he would gain from, you know, Netflix buying them compared to Paramount. But I'm just kind of like thinking to myself, yeah, his biased decision is that they gave him and the company more money for the assets. What the like? What are you trying to claim here? Like, they paid him more money than you, or they offered him more money than you did, so they decided to sell to them. Like, I don't get what Paramount is like trying to claim the you know, why they're trying to claim that, you know, it's unjust or something like that. I wish I had the exact quote that they said, but yeah, it was something along those lines.
Yeah, it might be in an article here. Paramount has argued that it was the only one of the three with a clear path to closing, insisting in a letter to Warner Brothers Discovery that the rival offers from Netflix and Comcast, quote unquote, present serious issues that no regulator will be able to ignore. It believes Netflix, being the dominant streamer in the US and globally, would face major antitrust hurdles, adding HBO Max to the fold. David Ellison's company has also called the sales process unfair and tilted towards Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers counted that its board attends to its fiduciary obligations with the utmost care, and that they have fully and robustly complied with them and will continue to do so. He says the sales process has been tainted by management conflicts, including certain members of management potential personal interest and post transaction roles and compensation as a result. Yada yada yada. I mean, it's just bitching and complaining from Paramount, to be quite honest with you. My thing is, look, Warner Brothers can pick whoever they want to, right? Like, I mean, you can offer them all the money in the world, but if they think a better fit is somewhere else, that's just the end of it, or at least it should be. Like, you should be able to pick and choose. Like, just because you offer more money, yeah, maybe they decided to leave a little bit more on the table, but maybe they were getting things necessarily somewhere else. I think that's Warner Brothers' obligation, or prerogative, to be able to pick whoever they certainly want to. Maybe David Zaslav just doesn't care for David Ellison, like we don't care for David Ellison. He's like, bro, I don't really F with you, so I don't really want you to take this company at all. But I if anything, if there has been any pushback towards this sale, there have been other people that have been echoing David Ellison's complaints in regards to it may be some form of monopolization going on here. The idea that they are going to have to get this past the regulators in some way, sort of shape or form. Um, that's definitely going to be a tall hurdle to climb. There's a piece in this article here that says that Netflix will also pay Warner Brothers Discovery $5 billion if for some reason it doesn't clear those hurdles and they have to sort of cancel the transaction. So Warner Brothers in some way, shape, or form is going to get paid regardless if this Netflix deal certainly goes through. But the biggest hurdle that I've been seeing from people are talking about is not only regulatory hurdles from the Trump administration, because I think even a Trump admin said that, yeah, this may not necessarily even go through. But you also have studios and producers and stuff kind of pushing back already in regards to what this could mean with Netflix acquiring Warner Brothers Discovery also.
It's
Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, we've said this. It's a lose lose no matter who does it. And yeah, the big dangerous aspect about Netflix is like they kind of say, and they're kind of right about that, is that yeah, they're already the biggest streaming service out there, and if they basically get access to everything on HBO Max, and that all goes to Netflix, then it is kind of a monopoly. And then because yeah, their competition is basically Hulu and Disney Plus, which are kind of the same thing. And then Paramount Plus, which, I don't know that many people who even have Paramount Plus. I myself may even cancel my subscription after the new season of South Park is over. So yeah, it is that issue of, once they become like the only competition, they can raise the prices however they want, things like that. They can make any unfair like adjustments that they want to do as well. Like I honestly, the thing that I kind of worry about with streaming services in the future is I feel like we're gonna get to a point where even though you're paying monthly, there's going to be movies that come out where they're still going to require you to pay for the movie individually as well. I feel like we're going to head to that point. I feel like if Netflix owns WB Discovery, that is just leading us a step closer to that unfortunate future. So yeah, again, lose. I think the number one company I didn't want to own it was Paramount. And I think Netflix was like number 2 of companies that I didn't want to own it. So yeah, I guess number 3, the number 3 least worst scenario would probably be Universal.
Yeah, I think that's probably the ranking that I certainly had. I really didn't want Paramount or Netflix to acquire this because I have my own concerns and worries about Netflix. I think they've, especially this week, I think that they've continued to reaffirm the worries that I have in regards to it. And we'll talk about that here shortly in a couple articles that we're gonna highlight as well. This seems like the lesser of the two evils to me,
Yeah.
but it's still not necessarily great for the movie going industry. We'll highlight some things here so people understand what this means for Netflix. They went ahead and they dropped a press release to kind of reaffirm what it is that their plan is, um, in regards to how they're going to handle all of this stuff. So they do give sort of a little bit of a breakdown here. This acquisition brings together two pioneering entertainment businesses, combining Netflix innovation with global reach and Warner Brothers' century-long legacy of world-class storytelling. Our mission has always been to entertain the world by combining Warner Brothers' incredible library of shows and movies from timeless classics. We'll be able to do that even better. Together, we can give audiences more of what they love and help define the century of storytelling. This acquisition will improve our offering and accelerate our business for decades to come. Warner Brothers has helped define entertainment, yada, yada, yada. Today's announcement combines two of the greatest storytelling companies, yada, yada, yada. Here it says, complementary strengths and asset. Warner Brothers Studios are world class, with Warner Brothers recognized as the leading supplier of television shows. HBO and HBO Max also provide compelling and complementary offerings for consumers. Netflix expects to maintain Warner Brothers' current operation and build on its strengths, including theatrical releases for films. So it seems as though they kind of want to keep Warner Brothers as its own kind of entity as of right now, including theatrical releases for movies. By adding the deep film and TV libraries in HBO and HBO Max programming, Netflix members will have more high quality titles from which to choose. This also allows Netflix to optimize its plans for consumers, enhancing viewing options and expanding access to content. So that sounds to me like more tiers, more monthly increases to your Netflix plans in the future. This acquisition will enhance Netflix's studio capabilities, allowing the company to significantly expand U.S. production capacity and continue to grow investment in original content over a long term, which will create jobs and strengthen the entertainment industry. By offering members a wider selection of quality series and films, Netflix expects to attract and retain more members, drive more engagement, yada yada yada. So yeah, they really seems like they are trying to do their best to allow Warner Brothers, at least for the time being, to stay as its own entity per se. Which I think is probably best case scenario for Warner Brothers Discovery, honestly. For Netflix to just allow them to kind of do business as usual. But then the Netflix CEO Ted Sarandos had this to say, and this is where my worry comes into play. Netflix says Warner Brothers movies will remain in theaters, but windows will evolve to be much more consumer friendly. So it says, on a conference call with investors on Friday, the Netflix co-CEO noted that the company has released 30 films in cinemas in 2025, though most of those films have had far shorter theatrical runs than those from a typical studio. He says, it's not like we have this opposition to movies into theaters. My pushback has been mostly in the fact of the long exclusive windows, which I think the long exclusive windows for movies in theaters right now are like 45 days, if I'm not mistaken, which we don't really think are that consumer friendly. But when we talk about keeping HBO operating largely as it is, that also includes their output movie deal with Warner Brothers, which includes a life cycle that starts in the movie theater, which we are going to continue to support. So this is emphasizing again, Warner Brothers Studios is going to continue to be its own entity, and it will continue to release movies in theaters. That's not going to stop. However, Sarando suggested that the life cycle may soon change, or in his words, evolve. He says, I wouldn't look at this as a change in approach for Netflix movies or for Warner movies. I think over time, the windows will evolve to be much more consumer friendly, to be able to meet the audience where they are quicker. I'd say right now you should count on everything that is planned on going to the theater through Warner Brothers will continue to go through the theaters through Warner Brothers, and Netflix movies will take the same strides they have, which is some of them do have short run in the theater beforehand. But our primary goal is to bring first run movies to our members because that's what they're looking for. So, this really continues to suggest to me, Stuart, that in time, as he says, it will evolve. To me, it feels like he's really going to work harder and harder to shrink this theatrical window. And this is what my worry was, in the sense that Netflix can say all they want to about the idea that, hey, Warner Brothers is going to stay Warner Brothers. We're still going to release movies in theaters. But what does that necessarily mean? Like, when you tell me it's going to release in theaters, I'm thinking full theatrical run. I'm thinking 45 days in theaters. It used to be 90. At some point in time, it turned to like 60. And then the movie theaters and companies were like, look, we got to expand this out just a little bit more. Can we at least maybe get like meet in the middle in 45 days to keep movies in theaters? Homeboy is saying, I don't really like that. I think that's way too long. I think that we want to try and get these movies from theaters to the consumers as fast as we possibly can and meet them where they're at, which means on a Netflix streaming service, in front of their in home, in front of their television screen, sort of thing. So he can say Warner Brothers is going to continue to release movies, but it seems to me as though he is going to work at everything he can to kind of shorten that theatrical window. How do you is that what you took away from this, and how do you feel about that in general?
Yeah. The specifically what I got from it is that he wants to somehow 45 days is just too long for him. Like, like he's a 10-year-old kid high on sugar with ADHD. like to me, that's like the most bizarre thing. Cause yeah, it used to be 90 days. And then honestly, I don't even think there's anything wrong to dropping it down to 60. We dropped it down to 45 because of the pandemic, but we just never went back because, greedy CEOs are like, we need the content, it's now, we need it on our streaming service now. So more people will buy our streaming service. And that's exactly what Netflix will do. They're going to push to keep the theatrical window shorter. So that way they don't have to do any exclusive deals or anything like that. So yeah, I'm not a fan of anything that he's saying at this moment. I think that like him being like, oh, we're still going to be able to keep things in theaters. He says that just so that's what people who don't read the full article and will just see the headline will see, and then they'll think, oh, cool, this guy knows what he's doing. But they don't really know the full extent of what he meant when he said, oh, we're still keeping movies in theaters, when in actuality, this is what he means. So yeah, I don't have any hope when it comes to like these movies coming into when it comes to like DC films, when it comes to other really big Warner Brothers properties coming into theaters. I don't have any hope for them like actually getting their full justified runtime. And what sucks too is that it's going to make these movies look like they had a really bad decline in profit because of that, because now people are going to look at the box office numbers. They're not going to look at the fact that it was only in theaters for 45 days, and they're going to think, oh, this movie was clearly a flop, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a really good point, actually. The theatrical run in regards to getting your profit back for some of these movies, right? I mean, I would think you would want to keep your movies in theaters longer in an attempt to make back that profit, especially if you're making money making these movies on really big budgets. Now, I look, if anything, I would say maybe the pushback for some people is, and maybe one of the benefits to this might be the idea of like maybe this will now force movie theaters to make movies for less, right? Like maybe in turn, if you know that your $200 million movie is only going to have a time frame of 30 days eventually in the movies, how are you going to make your profit back if it's not going to be in on the big screen in theaters for a long period of time? In turn, that may force the production companies to then look at bringing down the cost of their movies, which would be nice, to be quite honest with you. In turn, hopefully making the movie take, I would say maybe making going to the movie theaters a little bit more affordable. But I've never heard of movie tickets prices going in reverse, like like gas prices. I don't think it necessarily works that way. Um, but it would certainly force them to do that. And some people would probably argue, look, your movie probably makes the most money anyway within its first 2 to 3 weeks, and then after that, um, it's just really about trying to cross that finish line and how much can you actually make at the end of the day. So there might be some arguments for it, but he also calls the movie going experience something that's outdated. He doesn't say this in this article, but he does go on to say it in another article that we have up on our Facebook page if you want to check it out. He talks about the movie going experience kind of being outdated, and I don't necessarily know if the movie theater experience is outdated so much as it's just expensive.
Mhm.
I've seen some great movies on the big screen, and to be quite frank with you, I've seen two great Netflix movies that he released theatrically for a short period of time. I saw Frankenstein and I saw Wake Up Dead Man. And both of those experiences, I can tell you, seeing it in theaters is 10 times better than watching it in front of on my couch at home, sort of thing. Maybe Wake Up Dead Man, you could probably get away with, but Frankenstein, I am so glad I saw Frankenstein on the big screen. It was literally one of my favorite movies of the year. And I think a lot of it has to do because of the magic of cinema, because of the idea that we have that we can see these movies in theaters. And so I don't think the movie going experience is outdated, especially when you think of like um, Oppenheimer and the whole, Barbieheimer sort of uh, big celebration of movie going experience that we had a few years back. Big event films just feeling like event films. So people will come out to the movies to experience these films. So I wouldn't say it's outdated so much as it's more kind of just expensive for the average moviegoer to really want to go out and see as many movies as they possibly can. And just for FYI, I'm not paid by AMC in any way, shape, or form. But if you love movies, get you an AMC Stubs List rewards program. I mean, go and get you an AMC Stubs. I literally pay like less than $30 a month, and I get to see 4 movies a week. 4 movies a week for free. And I also get other sort of rewards and stuff with it. So if you are a moviegoer, you need an AMC Stubs list. I'm just saying. But regardless, um, this is just an opportunity. This is what my worry was. The idea of trying to shrink the theatrical experience, because then also, Stuart, this can really damage not only just movie making in general, but movie theaters also,
Mhm.
that really require movies to be in their theaters for um, longer periods of time. Movie theaters really just make money off of their concessions for the most part, as far as I know of, and any promos and stuff that they kind of sell. But if you don't have movies in there on a consistent basis or long enough to draw people out, that's less people going to the movie theaters as well. So this just really has sort of like a trickle down effect in the sense of you start cutting off movies from having long theatrical runs, then you start hurting the production companies, then you start hurting the movie theaters kind of going forward. And then what does that say about the type of quality of movies that people start making as well? Look, Netflix is not known for always having bangers. They probably put out more trash than they do gems. That's not to say that Netflix doesn't have some great stuff on there, but it's very much just push content out. Just push content out. Let's get it to the consumer as fast as we possibly can. And with that mindset, they really want to keep you just trapped in your home and paying more money for this service so they can continue to make more money. And so I think that this is definitely a disservice to the movie going industry. This was again the second of the two evils to choose from. But if he is looking to, I have no problem with Warner Brothers staying as is. The issue that I am having is that he wants to evolve the theatrical window for the release of those movies to continue to shrink and shrink and shrink. And it's already hard for people to go out and see movies. Imagine having a movie that you want to see and you've only got 30 days to see it, right? Like some
Hmm.
people, it's just not possible. I've missed a lot of movies in theaters just because my life has just been so busy. And next thing I know, it's out of theaters. And then I got to pay for it on VOD for a couple of months until it's actually exclusively released on a streaming service, right? Like you're really cutting out and shrinking the ability for people to enjoy a movie going experience that I think people truly continue to love despite it being so expensive. So yeah, this doesn't feel right with me. And they just continue to reaffirm my worry as to why I didn't want them to win this, also outside of Paramount. So a little discouraging, to be honest with
Yeah, definitely agree. Because yeah, one thing's going to lead to another. I think a shorter window of time, less money. Less money means they're going to put less money into their movies. Therefore, movies are going to have a much smaller budget. I just don't see anything good coming from this. The other thing too is, like you were saying, how it's going to badly damage theaters. I remember when we first talked about the idea of Netflix buying them, I made this joke, and that I still think could theoretically happen, but I don't think Netflix is the kind of company that would care enough to do so. I do think with the power that Netflix has, they do have a chance to actually change the things about the movie theater industry that do need to be fixed. They have the power to do so by saying, hey, we'll only sell, or we'll only give our movies to theaters that meet these very specific requirements. But I don't think Netflix is the kind of the company that would do that. I don't think they care enough about actually making movies better. They just care about
you. Right.
making sure they get a profit. The quick, easy buck, basically.
Yeah, he also said a comment about like, Warner Brothers needs to continue to produce content like The Penguin. And I'm like, you act like they're not trying to, they've got Lanterns coming out. But when he says coded things like Warner Brothers needs to create more things like the Penguin, what to me he's really saying is just make more content, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And you're not gonna make a Penguin series every time. Like the quality of the
Yeah.
Penguin series is not going to happen every time. He is just simply suggesting make more content in television. Like that's really going to benefit you guys. So he's just saying we want more content from Warner Brothers from their DC television side of things. We don't really care. Like we hope the quality is going to be there, but trust me, Netflix really does not care about the quality of it. They just want more and more content, unfortunately. Shout out to Kiki and Luca for the super chat today. Thanks for the show, guys. No, you're welcome. Thank you for certainly joining us today, Kiki and Luca. As always, man. Um, if like I said, if there is a bright spot to all this, it is the idea that they want to keep Warner Brothers Studios separate in the sense of allowing them to continue to do business as usual, and that goes also in line with DC studios as well. If people were worried about what does this mean for DC studios, James Gunn and Peter Safran did address this, talking about the sale, as they also got contracts that extended into 2027 here. It says the big question on comic book fans with the merger, what will happen at DC Studios? Shortly after Warner Bros. Began fielding offers from Paramount, Gunn seemed to address the potential exit from the company. He says now both the Superman director and Safran have addressed this. An article in Bloomberg um, did specify that Gunn and Safran contracts are now up in spring of 2027. They were set to end in October of 2026, but they've been extended to spring of 2027. Talking about the says such an extension isn't a surprise given how Warner Brothers had nothing but praise to give Gunn and Safran while talking with Bloomberg. He says the work of James Gunn and Peter Safran, their creative vision, it's compelling and a great economic return. There's no storytelling content that we have that provides a bigger palette than DC, and there's nobody around right now who can tell these stories with the same imagination and excitement. Also, per Bloomberg, neither of them is quote unquote letting larger corporate going ons alter their plans. Instead, they're focusing on delivering the best possible script. In merger and acquisitions, job tends to shift or end outright, yet the duo doesn't seem worried about that future. According to Peter Safran, James Gunn's creative mind, gives them job security. He says, what makes us irreplaceable is truly the mind of James Gunn. He's been the architect of this grand vision. And then he says the Superman director then offered a shorter version of the sentiment shared by Safran, saying, if you're going to make a Batman movie, it's better be effing awesome, is what James Gunn said. So, yeah, it doesn't look like they have plans on going anywhere. Seemingly addressing Netflix's deal, James Gunn stated that theatrical releases are incredibly important for the studio's output. The communal theatrical experience is something that is incredibly important and remarkably well suited to our big spectacle films. So they seem adamant that they're not going anywhere as of right now, that they still plan on releasing their movies theatrically. Again, the bigger question for me, Stuart, is just how long will these movies have the opportunity to be in theaters, right? Like, will we get to 2027 when Man of Tomorrow is out and it's only got a 30-day window before it's like limited time? Catch this movie in a two-week time span before exclusively on HBO Max or exclusively on Netflix, right? Like, that would just be a bummer, honestly. And it feels like you're just leaving so much money at the table. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me from like a business standpoint why Netflix would want to shrink that window when you would think that you would want to try and make as much money as you possibly can from big tentpole films like something like a Man of Tomorrow that might come out in 2027. You know what I mean? So I don't know if the changes are going to happen immediately like that. Who knows if this Netflix sale even kind of comes through? But the hypothetical of Man of Tomorrow literally being in theaters for like 2 weeks to maybe just a month is kind of mind-boggling to me. Are you muted? I think you're muted.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, is that? I thought you were saying something else. I'm sorry.
Oh no, just saying, definitely like agreeing with what you said.
But yeah, so DC Studios is at least safe for now. But yeah, guys, I'm kind of curious to know what you guys have to say in regards to this big, massive story. So let me see here.
Yeah, I'm definitely not too worried about James Gunn. Because yeah, I think Peter Safran put it the best. He's too creative for them to be able to replace him.
Let me see. Marcelino says the windows are already small with movies barely being in theaters in 1 month. Yeah, I think the window literally is like 30 days to 45 days as of right now. Due to the pandemic, it did shrink from like 70 to 90 days with the turn to streaming services and things like that. And ever since then, it's been stuck in that 30 to 45 day window and hasn't really recovered since then. Netflix says Kiki and Lucas's Netflix business model is not to have movies in theaters. It's going to use the IP to create AI content in the future at low costs. You never know, man. You never know. Tony Robinson, what's up, Tony? Appreciate you coming through. If Netflix keeps Warner Brothers as it is, they could have streaming and theaters. Yeah, look, that certainly seems like the plan. Kiki and Lucas says Republicans and Democrats are both against this. There's a chance the deal may not go through because of antitrust issues. It's far from a done deal. Yeah, absolutely far from a done deal as of right now. But Netflix is the winning bid. I think they even set out. Ramjan sent to me a copy of a press release that Netflix and Warner Brothers actually sent to all their subscribers to let people know that, like, look, things aren't changing right now, but they will certainly in the future. We've acquired, so and so this company. We'll keep you guys updated. So they're definitely trying to let people know about the acquisition. Whether or not it goes through, who knows? Blossom says going to the movie should be fun again. Treats dressing up in cosplay for one of the most popular characters in the world. Just being there. Yeah, I totally agree with you. Marshall says, I don't think I'll ever watch Frankenstein in theaters. I love Del Toro, but I don't need it to be in theaters. Well, look, I'm going to tell you right now. I've watched Frankenstein twice, one in theaters and one at home. Theatrical experience is just unlike anything else. Like to each their own, to each their own. But unless you haven't seen Frankenstein on the big screen, I don't know if that's necessarily a fair statement to certainly make. But as somebody that has had the opportunity to see it, it is worthy of a theatrical experience. Like just Victor Frankenstein's like lab, the set design pieces, the attention to detail, the cinematography. I mean, some things just do not come across on television the way that it's meant to on the big screen. And Frankenstein is certainly one of those movies that I would tell anybody, if it's in your local theater still, if you have an opportunity to see it, please go ahead and do yourselves a favor, man. Do yourselves a favor. But certainly to each their own. I know some people would maybe have great movie theater systems at their household, great surround sound systems and stuff. More power to you. But Frankenstein to me was a perfect example of a movie that needed to be released in theaters and not to a streaming service.
I definitely think it deserved a much longer theatrical window than what it got.
Did you ever get a chance to see it?
I did, yeah. I saw it on Netflix. We played it at our theater for a couple of weeks, but yeah, for a very short amount of time.
Kiki and Luca says this deal will destroy the industry, movie theaters, actors, and writers. Yeah, they'll definitely change the landscape for sure, for sure. Kiki and Lucas says Netflix doesn't make money in theaters. They want to keep their subscribers happy. But I mean, I get that. I mean, I guess that's the balance that you have to make in regards to where your focus is, right? Like their focus is just shareholders, not necessarily the movie going kind of experience. The shorter time period the movies are in theaters, the more it certainly makes them. Unfortunately, it says that you're making me want to watch Frankenstein in theaters just to piss you off. Please do so. Please do so, Marcelina. Check it out in theaters, man. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts in regards to the fallout when it comes to Netflix and Warner Brothers. I'm sure there's going to be a lot more to this story in coming weeks. We'll do our best to certainly keep you posted, as this will have big implications on the movie-going industry. But since we were just speaking about DC Studios being in good hands as of right now, let's move over to that because we've got some interesting rumors kind of going around in regards to the upcoming Man of Tomorrow, the next installment from the DCU from James Gunn. Not quite a Superman sequel, but it kind of is a Superman sequel. I tend to call it Superman Man of Tomorrow. I'll be interested to see if the title changes or if it'll just stay as Man of Tomorrow. But one of the big questions that we've had that was answered for us a couple of weeks back was Brainiac set to actually be the main antagonist of Man of Tomorrow. And this week, Stuart, we got some rumors and speculation as to who could potentially be on this short list of actors. We talked about this a couple weeks back in regards to our own fan casting. Who would we personally like to see in this role? One of the names I dropped after seeing him in Frankenstein was Jacob Elordi. Unfortunately, Jacob Elordi's name is not on this short list of actors, but I did find the names on here quite interesting. So again, take this as a grain of salt, and some rumors, and we'll tell you why here in just a little bit. But apparently they are in the process of casting right now. So let's jump over to this. This is from Nexus Point News. Brainiac shortlist for Man of Tomorrow revealed. It says, as announced last month, DC Studios is currently casting for Brainiac, the lead villain, to Man of Tomorrow. Sources tell Nexus News that Claes Bang, I believe his name is, Matt Smith, and Sam Rockwell are among those on the short list for the highly anticipated Superman antagonist. However, we should note that some of the names we have mentioned have not been independently verified fully, as casting remains ongoing and no offers have been made. One piece of information told to Nexus Point News was budget restrictions at these studios may prevent certain desirable names to be cast. So it looks like James Gunn, and especially Peter Safran, who's usually the financial side of things here, is maybe trying to keep this budget for this film relatively tight. So some budget restrictions may prevent certain names to actually being cast. Now, Clive Bang is best known for starring in The Square and BBC's Dracula series. He also was portrayed as the antagonist in Robert Eggers' The Northman. Matt Smith is best known for his work on Doctor who he portrayed the 11th Doctor, as well as The Crown, and then recently in The House of Dragon and Morbius. And Caught Stealing. We also got Sam Rockwell, most recently was featured in the latest season of The White Lotus. Is also remembered from Iron Man 2, Vice, and 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing. And then, you got James Gunn set to write and direct the film as well. So these are the 3 names on the short list. Again, these have not been independently verified. So I will also assume there's probably countless other names that are being shopped around for this particular role as well, that have yet to be revealed. In fact, another rumor kind of swirling around in regards to who is going to be the front runner. Do you guys, Stuart, I'm sure you've heard of Grace Randolph herself. She's usually a scooper and a reviewer over on social media.
Mostly grifter.
Yeah, mostly grifter. Yes, mostly grifter. She was first to mention, I don't know how you pronounce that guy's name, Claes Bang, if I'm pronouncing it right. She was the first to mention Claes Bang being in the mix and disputes Matt Smith being the most likely candidate. Instead, she's heard that Brainiac could be someone Gunn has worked with before quite a bit. Let me actually pull up this article so you can actually see how this is written here, because I don't know if she's laughing at who the potential choice is. But here, let me pull this up. It says, instead, she's heard Brainiac could be someone Gunn has worked with before quite a bit. Randolph didn't seem overly impressed, though, using a series of emojis, laughing face, melting face, and a questionable face, to describe her reaction to the rumor. Gunn has already brought several familiar faces from the past into the DCU. So who's the most likely possibility? Chris Pratt, Dave Bautista. Some people even think Chukwudi Iwuji, who was most notably known for his time in Peacemaker Season 1 and also played the High Evolutionary. Still, if Randolph's reaction is anything to go by, it may be a controversial one, because she doesn't seem necessarily impressed with who it could be. So could it be somebody that James Gunn has worked with quite closely with? Or is this a case of maybe possibly one of these 3 being cast in the role? How are you feeling about any of these particular names, Stuart? And is there anybody in particular that, like, given the opportunity, you would like to see that he's maybe worked with before, that you would like to see him
Out of the 3, I definitely would go with Matt Smith. I freaking love Matt Smith as an actor, and I think that him playing a character like Brainiac, that would be like right up his alley. When it comes to actors that James Gunn has worked with in the past that I think could do a good job, this first one may sound weird, but I swear he is really, really good. It's just that everyone thinks of him as Drax, but that obviously Dave Bautista.
Oh, okay.
I think, yeah, I think he could do a solid Brainiac. He's shown like over the years that he has a lot of range with it, with the way he acts. It's definitely not, he's not like kind of the usual one note performance that you get from a lot of wrestlers turned actors. He actually does have quite a bit of range. So I would love to see him tackle a role like Brainiac. I think he could actually pull it off. But I also think you mentioned it before, and I'm so sorry if I'm butchering his name, but Chikwudi Iwuji, I think he would be absolutely perfect for Brainiac. I mean, he was amazing as the High Evolutionary in Guardians of the Galaxy. I could in Brainiac, like the High Evolutionary, one thing they both have in common is that they both have their mindset on one specific evil goal, and they would lack zero empathy and are basically completely closed-minded from anyone trying to change their mind about what they feel when reaching this goal, if that makes sense. And I feel like he's already shown that he can play that kind of a character really well in Guardians, so I would love to see him bring that character into Brainiac. And James Gunn on his podcast has talked about wanting to bring him into the DCU, and he specifically said in all the previously on moments for Peacemaker season 2, he tries to show his character from season 1 as little as possible, so that way when he brings him back, it's not confusing for other audiences watching. So yeah, that would be, I think out of those 3 that I listed, though, I still think Matt Smith would be my number 1 choice. But Chuck Woody would be a close number 2, and then Dave Bautista would be my number 3.
Yeah, I mean, I like the Dave Bautista one really surprised me. I do like Dave Bautista very much as an actor. I could see him maybe in the other potential roles in the DCU. I don't necessarily know if this one is really it, but I would say I would agree with you everywhere else though. Like outside of the in the short list, Matt Smith definitely has my attention. I think he's a brilliant actor, and look, I don't know if it's just I think the man looks weird. No offense, Matt Smith, you got your own unique charm to you, man. God created you the way that you did. No hate towards you, my man. But I feel like Matt Smith just fits those weird, odd roles, and I think from a makeup, prosthetic sort of side of things, I think he could really just absolutely kill this role if they certainly went that route. So he may be the more popular name that a lot of people probably lean towards in regards to that. But Awuji for me, I think would make a lot of sense. I mean, if it is somebody that he's worked with before, that'd be really cool to kind of see, honestly. He even though he has been using Peacemaker season 1, James Gunn has talked about, there are some things that have happened in the previous things that will carry over in regards to like what is canon or not. So maybe they find some way to make Awuji work, especially if he's going to be under heavy prosthetics and stuff. Maybe you wouldn't even be able to really tell. I think he's a phenomenal actor also, who I would really like to kind of see in that role. So, if we're talking about the short list, I'm going to go with Matt Smith, although I'm not too familiar with Claes Bang, if I'm pronouncing his name right. Maybe I'll have to see him in some work and see what some of his stuff is certainly like. But if we're talking about people that James Gunn has worked with before, God, I hope it's not Chris Pratt. It just feels odd to
Oh
me.
my
Like,
God,
please,
no.
please not Chris Pratt in this role. I'll take anybody else, to be quite frank with you. So yeah, I mean, my thing is, I do want fresh blood as a part of the DCU, and I mean fresh blood in the sense I don't want James Gunn to fit all his friends in every single movie that he's got to do, because then because the fear that I have is the same fear that I had of Bradley Cooper popping up as Jor-El in Superman. It immediately took me out of the scene. Like I just saw Bradley Cooper. I'm like, what? Like what? That I could not even see him as Jor-El. And so I hope it's just not like, hey, my buddy, I think is going to be really great for this part. I'm just going to put him in this particular role, because Brainiac just has so much gravitas. It is just a character that we've been asking and pleading for to see in live action on the big screen. He should come across as formidable, frightening, and unlike anything that we've ever seen before. And I really would like a fresh face to kind of take over that role, and not somebody that we've seen before countless times that James Gunn has kind of worked with before, because it may just take me out of the movie a little bit, to be quite frank with you. But that's just me, Stu.
There are so many other roles that Chris Pratt could do in the DC universe. I would be absolutely shocked if this was the one that James Gunn said, like, this is what I want you as, Brainiac. Because here's the thing, man. Even if Chris Pratt blew my mind and it gave us a performance we didn't think was possible, he has just such a very distinct face and voice that just, I don't think I could ever take menacing. I don't think I could ever see it as menacing. It's like when Grant Gustin was playing an evil version of the Flash in season 3, or when Melissa Benoist was playing an evil version of Supergirl from season 4. I couldn't take either of them seriously. They're both incredibly talented actors, so no knock on either of them. But man, I couldn't take them seriously as villains at all, because they're just too like adorkable. And in the case of Chris Pratt, he's just too dorkable to take like serious as like a menacing villain. Like, I can see him as a villain, don't get me wrong, just not Brainiac, in particular. Not Brainiac.
Yeah, no, for sure. I agree. So we'll see. But the big news here, though, is that Brainiac is being cast. They are doing casting. I'd be interested to see what other names might pop up outside of maybe a secondary short list, or anytime we come to really big popular characters, a bunch of names wind up getting floated out there. So we'll see if it ends up being any of these people or somebody that we don't necessarily have on our radar. But let us know your thoughts, guys. Marcelina says, I picked Matt Smith. I like him more as an actor. Yeah, I do like Matt Smith as an actor. Did you ever see his Doctor Who? Yeah, he had a really great Doctor Who. Personally, look, Matt Smith is not necessarily my doctor. That title goes to David Tennant, and then secondary would probably be Peter Capaldi for me, and then Matt Smith is my third. But I know some people that absolutely adored Matt Smith as the Doctor. And it's one that definitely has grown on me over time, for sure. But I really appreciated his run. I think he's had one of the more heartbreaking cliffhanger sort of endings to his run with Amy and things like that. That still like just lasts with me as a Doctor Who fan. So I was a really big fan of his run, despite not necessarily liking him at first. But he's definitely grown on me.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I gave Peter Capaldi more of a chance. Eventually, I will go back and rewatch Doctor Who and get through Peter Capaldi. But yeah, I think for me it was started, of course, the 2005. I forgot his name, but the villain from Thor: The Dark World,
Christian Eccleston.
Eccleston, yeah, Eccleston, David Tennant, and then Matt Smith was kind of the last one. And then I did come back for like the first season of Jodie Whittaker. Wait, that's her name, right?
Yeah.
Of Jodie Whittaker season. I have not watched anything after that, so I haven't even seen like the one where David Tennant returns. I haven't seen the new Doctor, who, like, it's so funny. I've heard from people who don't watch the show that he's terrible, but from people who watch the show that he was great.
Shooty Nagawa?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, it's so it's like, for me, it's just my Doctor Who kind of started with Eccleston, ended with Matt Smith, and then I've had snippets of classic Doctor Who here and there, snippets of modern Doctor Who, but that's about it.
Shout out to Marcelino with a $5 super chat here. All to tell me that you're making me want to watch Frankenstein on Netflix and not in theaters just to piss you off. That's what I meant to say. Stupid autocorrect. Well, hey, listen, man, you can't piss me off with a super chat just to get your point across. So I try. Thank you so much, Marcelino. I appreciate it. To each their own, man. Watch whatever you want, however you want, buddy. I got.
You gave us $5, so you know what? Download Pirate Frankenstein in the lowest quality and watch it that way. I still won't be mad.
I'll never be mad, Marcelino. Thank you, buddy. All right, guys. So from the DCU to the DCU Elseworlds this week, as we got more news that's coming out in regards to the Batman Part 2, to say the least, as we got some great sort of casting announcements or possibility of casting here. I did not see this one coming, Stuart, but this lady is making the rounds lately when it comes to really big franchises. She hit us with Avengers as Black Widow. She then came back for Jurassic World Rebirth, which I unfortunately was not that impressed with. But now she's getting an opportunity to jump on board another franchise that I would not have expected to see her in. But Scarlett Johansson is in the news this week, as she is in fact in talks to join the upcoming Batman 2. Now, I am also hearing rumors and speculation that she actually was not the first choice here. Jeff Schneider on Twitter, I believe, revealed that Emma Stone was maybe initially approached, but maybe there was like a scheduling conflict or something like that. And Scarlett Johansson jumped on it, getting her agent to go ahead and try and land this role. And apparently they are currently in talks. So let's, Scarlett Johansson is doing, let's talk about it. This comes to us from Deadline. Batman Part 2, Scarlett Johansson eyeing new role opposite Robert Pattinson in a sequel. After spending half the decade as Black Widow, the bat signal may be calling Scarlett Johansson. While it is unknown where things stand in the deal-making process, sources tell Deadline that the Oscar-nominated Johansson is in final negotiations with the studio, and director Matt Reeves is for one of the roles in Batman Part 2. If the deal closes, she would join Robert Pattinson, who's set to reprise his role as the Cape Crusader. Johansson has been busy getting her affairs in order for her 2026 shooting schedule, most recently coming in to star in the new Exorcist film for Blumhouse, and director Mike Flanagan. That sounds pretty cool too. When it comes to plot details and who Johansson might be playing, the film's secrets are harder to uncover than Bruce Wayne's Batcave. This production is set to start in the spring and will release on October 1st of 2027. So yeah, I think this is massive news, Stuart. I'm naturally a really big fan of Scarlett Johansson. I really appreciated her as Black Widow, some of her past roles. I didn't necessarily care for her so much in Jurassic World Rebirth, to be quite frank with you. Like, that movie really surprised me in the sense of how boring, I don't say how boring, but like how cut and paste it ended up being in order to manage to acquire two great stars like Scarlett Johansson and Mahershala Ali. I don't necessarily know if they were like the weak points of the movie, though, so much as like the scripts certainly was. But one role that Scarlett Johansson always stands out to me in is she was in The Prestige, I believe, that Christopher Nolan film with Christian Bale and Hugh Jackman. She was phenomenal in that movie. There are a couple other Scarlett Johansson films I could certainly talk about, but I love the idea of getting another big name opposite of Robert Pattinson in here. And the fact that she is, I think, maybe the only second name cast in this movie that we've heard about so far makes me believe that she's got a pretty significant role in this movie. Not just like as a supporting character, but she seems like she's worthy enough of that of a co-lead. And after seeing her in something like The Prestige and some other roles, like, I feel that she could really fit perfectly in regards to like just the sort of noir type of environment that Matt Reeves is trying to establish. Like, she comes across very sexy, very mysterious. She can have that that Madame Fatale kind of like personality or vibe to her if she certainly wanted to, right? Whether you could fall in love with her, but can you trust her, sort of thing. I think Scarlett Johansson would really fit well in regards to this Matt Reeves world that they're certainly trying to create here. So and this to me feels very much like a done deal, especially when you get to the point of final negotiations. I mean, it's pretty much all about signing on the dotted line, and are you okay with taking the salary, sort of thing. But the fact that there are reports that she really urged her agent to go out there and land her this role, or get her an opportunity to at least be a part of this movie. It feels like she really liked what she saw in the script, and I think she could really deliver here, man. So this has me excited for what Matt Reeves could be cooking up when it comes to this movie. But how do you feel about Scarlett Johansson kind of being put in this world? Like, are you okay with it? Can you see her fitting in it, or is this a Bradley Cooper as Jarrell moment for me, where it's just like she's too recognizable that it might take you kind of out of the movie?
Dude, okay, here's the I'm going to answer that part of the question first, because here's the thing I've noticed. The older I get, the more I'm noticing that with every movie I watch, even when it's not like the actor's fault. It's just sometimes I'm just at the point where I've seen so many movies, and so when I see an actor I recognize, it takes me out of the role for a brief moment before I get back into it. It takes an actor playing something completely against their like usual typecast for me to not really be distracted at all. So, and then again, that might be because of my ADHD, but I think it's like a mixture of that and just me getting old and having so many movies in my brain. So yeah, I think that regardless of who she plays, no matter what, I think I'm going to have that moment. But that all being said, though, I think that yeah, she like you everything that you said, I agree. Like she can definitely fit in with the Batman universe incredibly well, especially if they continue that noir, like modern noir kind of style that they got going on. Her being the character like I think you said it perfectly, like the character you can fall in love with, but you also don't know if you can trust. And I think that there's one character in particular. Someone brought this up on TikTok, and I haven't been able to stop thinking about it ever since I saw it. But if she played Andrea Beaumont, I think that would be like the perfect role for her, like the from Mask of the Phantasm, the Batman movie. And I don't know if they would bring in like a animated movie exclusive villain, because I don't believe she was in the comic books. I could be wrong. Someone correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. But that would be that would make for a really compelling villain within the Matt Reeves Batman universe. I would also be very curious what direction he would take from it, because Matt Reeves, from what we've seen from the first Batman movie, he doesn't he obviously, it's not that he doesn't like follow the comic books, but he definitely doesn't follow them to a T in certain aspects. So I feel like if he were to bring her into the movie, she would, if anything, be a red herring for like the actual like kind of main villain that we would get. Whereas I feel like in Mask of the Phantasm, I actually don't remember. She because I don't remember if they were trying to hide the fact that she was. I mean, obviously, we didn't find out until the reveal, but I can't remember if the movie itself was trying to be really subtle about it or not when they eventually reveal it. But with us, a modern audience with that movie in mind, knowing the outcome of that movie, I think casting her in this type of role would be a great red herring for whatever the main actual villain of the movie would actually be. And that's even assuming that's who she's playing, because again, there are so many roles I could see her doing within the Batman universe. I know this is an obvious one because she usually has red hair, but I could definitely see her pulling off a good Ivy. And then God, who else? I got like a list here because I wanted to like go through. Oh, and then I don't know if he want to get into like the more fantastical side of things, because he has said that he wanted to keep things grounded. But if you wanted to have a Talia al Ghul, that would be an option. And obviously, if they wanted to have that nosy reporter, why not Vicky Vale? So there's so many different characters I could see her playing. But my number one choice is undoubtedly Andrea Beaumont.
Yeah, that would lead us into sort of like, I don't want to say fan casting, but like what characters we could possibly see her in, because I do think you named quite a few. I the first one that just came to mind for me too was Poison Ivy. But there were two similar to you that also saw online that I was like, ooh, I kind of dig that idea a little bit. So yeah, the first one, let me pull this up because Comic Book Movie did do a cool like five most likely characters she could play. Let me see. Number three for them was Poison Ivy. Number two was the Phantasm from Mask of the Phantasm, saying that debuted in 1993. Andrea Beaumont was Bruce Wayne's fiance before he became Gotham City's Cape Crusader. She returns home after years abroad, but is secretly operating as the Masked Phantasm. Um, it says targeting mobsters responsible for her father's Carl Beaumont's death. A phantasm looks and sounds like a man, so the reveal that it's Andrea under the mask comes as a huge shock. Its story ends with the confrontation with the Joker, giving Reeves the perfect opportunity to put the spotlight on the clown of Prince of Crime if they wanted to. So yeah, I think that's probably option number one for me that I think is pretty cool, and I say that only because Matt Reeves has talked about the idea of bringing a character in this movie that hasn't necessarily been done before in live action, or um, um, the take of this character hasn't necessarily been done in live action before. So I do think it certainly leads up to the possibility of her playing Andrea Beaumont. They also do go on to suggest that maybe she could be Hush herself, maybe like a I'm not sure how that certainly would play out a little bit. But Stuart, outside of Phantasm being like my number one suggestion, um, there was another one that I saw proposed online that I hadn't even known about before because I've never played. I believe this is a video game, if I'm not mistaken. Have you ever played Batman Telltales?
No, I know of it, and
Telltale's Batman
yeah,
series.
I used to be a
Uh,
huge fan of Telltale.
that's a video game series?
Telltale is, oh yeah, I think the Batman was a video game series produced by Telltale, and they usually release games in like increments of 5 episodes, so
Ah,
I'm
okay.
assuming that was the case with their Batman. I'm not sure if the company went under before they finished it or not, because I remember that's unfortunately what happened with The Walking Dead 4 is they
Mm.
got like 3 episodes in, and then and I used to deliver bagels to them, which was really fun. So I ended up going there to deliver one day. Building was shut down, and then I found out, oh, apparently they went under, and apparently I'm not going to get the rest of my Walking Dead video game that I paid full price for.
That's so funny. Um, this uh this one really surprised me, but I had somebody I saw on Twitter suggest this, and I didn't even think about this before. But somebody said that maybe she would be playing the character Lady Arkham from Batman Telltales and the Telltale's Batman series. And it says Lady Arkham was the leader of the Children of Arkham and one of Batman's first major adversaries. A long lost member of the Arkham family, Vicky Vale, sought revenge on the Wayne family due to trauma she endured stemming from Thomas Wayne's actions. Leading the group, she terrorized Gotham City using a weaponized drug to help her activities. Um, Now, one of the things that I looked up was whether or not Lady Arkham was connected in any way to like the Court of Owls. And she's not connected to the Court of Owls, but her story is similar in the sense of like working in the underground, kind of connected to the Wayne family past. That you probably could include like a Lady Arkham as like the precursor to like a Court of Owl sort of thing. And with a character like Vicky Vale that we've seen before, I think this could be a really cool. And you suggested Vicky Vale, but I think that this would be a pretty interesting twist on the character that we haven't like. If Matt Reeves suggests this is a live action character that we haven't seen before, or like a take on this live action character we haven't necessarily seen before, I think Vicky Vale as Lady Arkham is a big possibility here too.
I'd be I'd just be curious to know if Matt Reeves is a gamer or not. Like, and if that was like how he came up with the idea. Like, if he's actually played the Batman Telltale games.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I feel like he knows his Batman lore relatively well. But I know this would be certainly be like a. I mean, is this a twist from Vicky Vale's actual history, like in the comic books? I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, I mean, I've only always
I
known
only
her
know
as
Vicky
a reporter.
reporter, right? Yeah, like that's how I've always kind of known her. I don't know if they've shaped her origin story to be something else over the years. But I would say Andrea Beaumont and as Phantasm, because the idea of like adapting the Phantasm storyline would be pretty freaking cool if you ask me. But I do think something like a Lady Arkham could be relatively grounded enough too, and bringing back a character like Vicky Vale that has a past with Bruce Wayne and connecting it to Thomas Wayne's history, and possibly maybe even bigger Court of Owls theme here in regards to like secret organizations and secret things going on in Gotham City. I really have wanted to see the Court of Owls utilized in Matt Reeves' world. So I think Lady Arkham and Andrea Beaumont are probably my two top choices as of right now as to who I would like to see Scarlett Johansson play.
I like that. Yeah, I'm still gonna stick with Belmont as my number one. I don't know what I would do as my number two. You know what? I'm gonna go with the gender bent Hush as my number two. Fun fact: that was actually my theory on what was going to be the main villain in the first movie. Like, I know that we all knew it was going to be the Riddler, but I kind of figured with like the new design of his outfit, I kind of figured they may have done a twist on his name, so his name was actually going to turn out to be Thomas Elliot. But of course, it ended up being like Edward. I know it wasn't Enigma. It was like what did they change his name to? Like Edward something.
I can't remember off the top of my head. Yeah.
Yeah. Regardless, I could see them doing something like that with the character of Hush. Like it might be Tammy Elliott or something like that. But yeah, just childhood friend of Bruce Wayne's, and maybe, and then yeah, they could even like, instead of just being like childhood friends, it could be that like, you know, maybe they grew up romantically interested with each other, and then like Bruce Wayne like got distant with her when he decided he wanted to become Batman.
Marcelino says the Phantasm would be cool to see in live action. She was solely created for the cartoon and has zero comic counterpart. I think it would be really cool. I personally would love to see it. I hear some comic fans say that if they adapt the Mask of Phantasm, then it'll come across derivative since it was done perfectly already in animation.
I mean, that just depends on how it's done. If it's done exactly like the movie, then yeah, I would totally agree with that. But if it's, I would assume because Matt Reeves loves telling his own original stories, I would assume that he would borrow elements from it, but I don't think he would straight up adapt it.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, let us know your thoughts, guys. Scarlett Johansson in talks to join the Batman Part 2. Let us know your thoughts on the cast and if you have any suggestions as to who she could possibly be playing. We'd love to know your fan casting. With that out of the way, let's move on to our next topic. As Stuart, we are in fact preparing for more Game of Thrones. That's right. A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms has a brand new series that's set to go ahead and drop this January on HBO Max. In fact, they did drop a brand new trailer for it also, and it really has me even more stoked for this movie than for this series than we did before. They also gave us a brand new poster, A Journey Far from the Throne, suggesting that this is really going to be kind of taking place within this Game of Thrones world, but maybe significantly different than what we've come to expect from the previous Game of Thrones shows. But Variety did a brand new article on it. Thought it'd be worth checking out. So let me go ahead and pull this up here as we get into some Game of Thrones talk for you guys today. Here we go. Variety says Game of Thrones prequel Knight of the Seven Kingdoms is a lighter, more friendly path to Westeros. and also says season 2 starts shooting this month. We do know that this show got an early season 2 renewal, but it looks like they are very much ready to go into production. So I expect, we've always talked about the idea of like, can we get television series back to back on a yearly basis? And it seems as though that might be the case here with the Night of the Seven Kingdoms. Set to go into production next week in Belfast, Ireland. Season 1 will debut January 18th, 2026, with season 2 following in 2027. As a reminder, the series is set 100 years before the events of the original show, Game of Thrones. It follows Peter Claffey as Westerosi hedge knight Sir Duncan, also known as Dunk the Tall, and Dexter Soul Ansel as his diminutive squire. Showrunner Ira Parker was on hand at the HBO Max's presentation in London on Wednesday to give the audience a sneak peek of what to expect. It felt very natural. It didn't feel like a reach, said of working on the series. I think we can all find a lot to relate to in our new character, Sir Duncan the Tall. Certainly, I put a lot of myself into him. He's treading in this strange world. He's from the ass end shithole of Westeros, the slums of Westeros, of King's Landing, and he doesn't know anyone. And he doesn't know anything. So all of those lords and ladies and princes and kings and queens that he encounters, it all seems a little absurd to him. And he doesn't quite know if people are making fun of him or not. And a lot of good natural comedy comes out of the situation.
Ooh, already I can tell you that feels like a very relatable character. But I love this like kind of a new approach of being able to explore this world, but now not even from like kind of the big political side of things. We're now viewing it in the perspective of just, a regular person trying to live in this world as a hedge knight. I think that this is a really cool direction to take this universe because there's only so many political intrigues that you can make over time. So it's cool for them to like kind of go into a new direction, but still, we still have House of Dragons going on. So I love how it's not like replacing anything. It's just expanding it.
They also say we take you on a little bit of a lighter, more friendly path to Westeros. You get to hang out and enjoy yourself for a little bit, and then it becomes Westeros, and then things are going to happen. But that's the fun of this world. Anything can happen, good and bad. People die for no reason other than that's what God's wanted for us. Parker also warned the audience that the more modest spinoff does not have the same budgetary freedoms of the original series. We took everything from Dunk's POV this season. He's the sole POV of the book, and we have channeled everything from our music to our titles to our cinematography and our action. And also, our budget is a reflection of Dunk, who comes from nothing. He was very little. He is a simple, unpolished human being, and so are we. There are some wonderful, big, polished, huge, epic shows within this world that can be enjoyed, and we are not that. I hope the audience will forgive us for some of the most unpolished parts. We really tried our best, and that's what Dunk's doing. He's going to this place that's unfamiliar to him, and he's probably way in over his head, and he's probably giving it his best shot. I gotta say, there's something about that really intrigues me. When they say that he's the sole POV of the book and we've channeled everything from him, from the titles to the cinematography and our action, there's a shot in the trailer, if you go back and you watch, where he's going into battle. He's on the horse, he's dressed up in his knight's gear, and the camera is right behind him as he's going into battle. And as he's racing into battle, the camera like closes in on him, and just as it gets to his helmet, it then changes the POV of literally you inside the helmet with like this, like all you see is the slit of the action that's going on. Like if they are really getting into the nitty gritty of like when we say he's the sole POV, even when it comes to the action, to make you literally see out of his point of view everything that he's seeing in these action sequences, I think it's just going to allow for it to be just really gritty, in your face, up front, like you're in the thick of things along with him. And I think that's actually pretty cool. Like there's something cool about like having very little resources and trying to make the best of what you can out of it. And I think just like from a production and creative standpoint, that really makes you go outside of the box, I think, in regards to how you present a show to people that are going to watch it. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this show really looks compared to when we get into something that's going to be very CGI heavy and big elaborate set pieces of House of Dragon, to kind of go into seeing like that the creators really had like a makeshift budget of how can we make this show on so little to represent the character itself. I think that alone is going to be pretty intriguing to see how they pull this off.
Yeah. There have always been, I've said this before, but there's always like certain movies where I feel like the bigger budget often like kind of takes away from the film more than anything, because sometimes it'll just add a big climactic battle or an extra layer to that climactic battle that didn't need to be there. And so I'm just, so some of the times I think if only they scaled back the budget in that just a little bit. So it is, so hearing that with this, and again, if this was like Game of Thrones, like we were following several different kingdoms, if we were following several different perspectives and seeing so many big epic battles, then yeah, the reduced budget would worry me. But you know, with it following, literally we're just following one character with his little squire. Yeah, it is cool that they're not only are they reducing the budget, but they seem to be good with that. They seem to be, you know, flexible to be able to work with that, you know, and not seeing it as like kind of a hindrance to the storytelling, but instead they kind of use that as like kind of a way of, okay, if we have less money, we're going to use this to make it more of a kind of, I guess you could say, a more personal type of film or TV show.
And it could explain why they're so quickly, why they're able to quickly go into production, I think, for a second season. You know, you probably don't have so much stuff kind of going on, or big production pieces you got to constantly keep moving around. If you are doing things on a shorter, smaller budget, it probably allows you to go into production a little bit quicker. But yeah, guys, check it out. A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, set to debut January 18th, just a month away, over on HBO Max. I'm really excited for this one, man. I mean, anything Game of Thrones right now, I'll certainly take while I wait for House of the Dragon. But I've been pretty impressed so far with how they've managed to expand upon this world after Game of Thrones, and yeah, I'll keep revisiting this world. I'm kind of pumped for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts in regards to A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. And from the world of Game of Thrones to another classic world, certainly to be discovered again. Chronicles of Narnia is back in the news this week. This has been an interesting one to kind of see come together. I think some of us have been kind of scratching our heads as to what does Greta Gerwig certainly have in store for Chronicles of Narnia. One of the things that we do know is that she is going to be writing and directing the first entry to this saga, and that's going to be The Magician's Nephew. So she's not necessarily tackling A Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe, but she is tackling the first novel within the Chronicles of Narnia, and that is The Magician's Nephew. She's going to be teaming up with Netflix along with IMAX to bring this to theaters and exclusively to Netflix shortly after that. And apparently, like, we've heard some wild things in regards to how this is coming along. We've heard people talk about it being kind of rock and roll esque. We've heard about Aslan being cast as, was it Meryl Streep, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Daniel Craig, I believe, possibly cast in this role as the magician, or as the uncle to the nephew, if I'm not mistaken. But we still haven't really heard, like, what is this movie going to be exactly. But this week, the IMAX CEO came out and actually talked a little bit about this movie. And I found what he had to say rather interesting, Stuart. I think this is probably the best insight and look into what it is that Greta Gerwig is trying to create than we've heard before. So let's go ahead and dive into this. This comes to us from a website that I didn't even know existed, Narnia Web. Narnia Web, ladies and gentlemen. Your source for Narnia news since 2003. IMAX CEO Greta Gerwig's Narnia is not your grandmother's Narnia. Will feature rock-inspired music, according to Narnia Web. It says, according to CEO Rich Gelfond of IMAX, Greta Gerwig's Narnia will feature a contemporary rock-influenced sound, with artists like Pink Floyd and The Doors cited as examples of the tone fans can expect. The film's score is being composed by music producer Mark Ranson, who recently worked on Barbie. Producer Amy Pascal made a remark back in 2024, which she infamously described the project as all about rock and roll. This is what he says. This is his quote. This is a real blockbuster movie that's being made for IMAX and Netflix. And, you know, I guess I do have to talk a little bit about why I'm so excited about it. This is not your mother's or your grandmother's Narnia. The music in it is unbelievably contemporary music, which IMAX fans like. I'm not going to say specifically, but things like Pink Floyd and The Doors. You know that kind of music which people go to see in IMAX. Attendees at the in-person event were shown a brief clip from Greta Gerwig, and he described visiting the enormous Cardington studio set, which the project is being shot across multiple stages and locations. He says the movie itself is being filmed at the largest soundstage in Europe. I went on the set where there were hundreds of people and multiple green screens, and it's filmed at multiple locations. You're going to see a clip in a second. If you can't see how passionate Greta is about it, then you'll have to wait to see the movie to see how awesome it is. He also voiced strong confidence in the project overall, saying that Greta Gerwig's Narnia films is really going to change the world and create a cultural event. He says, so this is one where my team has to hold me back, because I think, as I said before, that it's really going to change the world. I know that sounds like a lot of hyperbole, but Greta is making this movie for IMAX and then fully understands that when word gets out about what this movie is, it's going to create a cultural event. He also reiterated that The Magician's Nephew will premiere exclusively in IMAX. Yeah, Stuart. What do you think of that, buddy?
You know, I gotta say, so I can't remember if I've mentioned this on the show before, but I've never really been a big fan of the Chronicles of Narnia. So I got to be honest, if this was just going to be a regular adaptation, I probably would have missed this one if it came to theaters. But kind of hearing that they want to give it a rock and roll vibe really intrigues me. Plus, not to mention, Greta Gerwig has a great track record so far with everything she's done. So honestly, I think I'm more intrigued than I would have been had it just been kind of your typical run-of-the-mill, adaptation, something that like tried to recapture the feel of the early 2000s Narnia movies. I would have just been like, whatever. But kind of hearing this, it gets me more excited, honestly. I'm not going to say that I'm hyped, but I'm definitely intrigued.
Yeah, man. I gotta say, this IMAX CEO's words have kind of won me over a little bit, bro. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, I don't know if I'm hyped, but I'm definitely eager. I'm definitely looking more forward to this than I certainly was before. Um, you know, when he says things like Pink Floyd and The Doors, and it's gonna have kind of contemporary music, I don't look. It kind of reminds me of it's a trailer that we literally just watched for Maggie Gyllenhaal's The Bride, where it's such a unique take on it, like this punk goth sort of like Bonnie and Clyde kind of adventure with like monsters, like just balls to the wall, embracing the chaoticness of what those two characters are and really bringing the concept of monsters to life with like an edgy vibe to it. That really popped and worked for me. And so when he says something like this for IMAX or for Chronicles of Narnia, the sense of we're really using contemporary music, it's got that rock vibe to me. This really feels like flipping this on its head for a modern audience. Now, this may work for some people. It may not. But his excitement and enthusiasm for this, when he says things like it's going to change the world or it's going to be another cultural event. I mean, that might be a little bit like hyperbole, a little bit for sure. But I would argue that Barbie was a cultural event.
Mm-hmm.
That Greta Gerwig managed to hit the zeitgeist moment and really get people not only out into the theaters, but really had people um, giving great commentary on what the message of the movie was, and really sitting with it for a really long period of time and kind of shaking the culture a little bit. So when he says things like a cultural event, I can easily see this turning into one just because of the messages and themes that I think Chronicles of Narnia already inherently like represent, like what's already within them. And then you give sort of those themes to somebody like a Greta Gerwig, who I think does a really good job of then showcasing it to the audience for us to digest and have these big cultural event type of moments. So you mix that with a new contemporary take on what Chronicles of Narnia is. And man, I'm just thinking this is going to be different. Like, this is just going to be a really interesting and fascinating movie to watch, and one that I think has me even more excited. Like Amy Pascal just saying, "Rock, this movie's going to be so rock and roll." I don't even know. I don't know what that means, but the fact that you clarify using some artists like Pink Floyd and The Doors, and you know, um, just the concept of contemporary music, for some movies that works, right? Like sometimes James Gunn has loves contemporary music too much in his movies, and it kind of takes away from it. But the fact that it might be used in something like Chronicles of Narnia is not one that I expected, but I'm just thinking, like, if you can really flip this on its head to make it more culturally impactful for 2025, adding music like that will certainly work. And then along with just Greta being able to have this way of taking these themes and just expanding upon them in ways that we haven't really thought about before, I I agree. I think this will be a cultural event and one that I'm looking more and more forward to every time somebody talks about it now.
Yeah, I don't know if I would say it's gonna change the world because I can't remember the last time a movie's really done that. At least not that I can think of. But cultural event for sure. I would not be surprised at all, especially like you said it yourself, like the way Barbie did was. I think like just so many things about it was just kind of like so perfect. Like for one, it being a good movie, and then it coming out the exact time that it did, like, and then Warner Brothers suddenly having this accidental, like, perfect marketing thing with Barbenheimer. I think just like so many things went right for it. And I definitely hope the same thing. I hope if this movie is as good as Barbie, we get the same kind of success.
Yeah, I totally agree. But look, guys, let us know your thoughts. IMAX CEO's got some really interesting and compelling comments in regards to Greta Gerwig's Chronicles of Narnia as he tries to hold in his levels of levels of excitement about what they're putting together here. But let us know your thoughts after hearing these comments in the comment section box below. And then last but not least, Stuart, I wanted to hit on this article because we do have ourselves a Netflix show for Assassin's Creed. Now, we do know that they have attempted to try and do a Assassin's Creed movie in live action before on the big screen with Michael Fassbender that unfortunately flopped at the box office. But Assassin's Creed has such a big lore and the mythology and such great world building around it that spreads vast decades and centuries in regards to its levels of storytelling. So the direction of them going into the realm of television series might actually benefit the show a little bit more. Well, this week, we got the opportunity to be teased as to what the potential setting for this series is going to be. And it may be a setting that even the video games themselves haven't necessarily quite explored. Let's go ahead and dive into this. This one comes to us from Nexus Point News, saying exclusive Netflix Assassin's Creed set to explore ancient Rome. Ancient Rome. As announced earlier this week, Toby Wallace from Euphoria was set to star in the upcoming Assassin's Creed series. This will be the franchise's second attempt at a live action adaptation. Sources tell Nexus Point News that the series is set to explore ancient Rome, a period in the franchise that has been untouched. Additionally, the series will feature figures like Emperor Nero and Seneca the Younger, who served as Nero's tutor. This would potentially date the series as being set somewhere between 54 and 68 AD if Nero is to be emperor. Details on Toby Wallace's character are being kept under wraps, but the character will be part of an ensemble cast featuring multiple other younger characters. Um, so that's all the brand new information that we have. That it could potentially be set in ancient Rome during a time period of 54 to 68 AD, featuring figures like Emperor Nero and Seneca the Younger. I will say, Stuart, in regards to this real quick, and then I'll let you speak on it. One of the things I think we've talked about when it comes to adapting video game franchises into live action, it certainly worked with shows like The Last of Us and especially Fallout. But I think you brought up one time the idea of like the ability to kind of take, and I think they even talked about this with Mass Effect. The idea that you have some of these video games with such big lore and big worlds of mythology that maybe sometimes the best route to go is not to necessarily adapt a straight from video game story that we've already seen, but to kind of give us something new within that world that may connect to what's kind of transpired or taking place within that video game's canon sort of timeline. And that feels like what they might be kind of trying to do here also. What do you think though?
Excuse me. Yes, I 100% think that's what they're doing with this, and I think that's a great idea considering the last time they tried to like directly adapt an Assassin's Creed video game into a movie. It did not work at all. Now, okay, so I'm not really huge into the Assassin's Creed video games or franchise. I played a tiny bit of the first game, and that is where the extent of my knowledge of the franchise kind of ends. But I do know that it has a huge fan base, a great, like, interesting kind of premise. The idea of being able to send your memory back into your ancestors' memories. Just a really cool concept that you can have just so much fun with. I do think that this is the type of series that would make, or this is the type of video game that would make for a great TV series. And then, yeah, like you were saying, I think that, like, if we were to stick with the idea that of what they've done with Fallout, what they're going to do with Mass Effect, I love that idea of just keeping it in that world and not necessarily adapting a specific game. I actually didn't know that we hadn't explored ancient Rome in the Assassin's Creed video games, but it does feel very like right for the franchise. It feels like something that would honestly work as an Assassin's Creed video game storyline. So I think this is like kind of a really cool setting for the game, or for the series. And yeah, I'm definitely excited to see where it goes. Even though I'm not a fan of the video game franchise, this is definitely a show I'm going to be checking out.
Yeah, I've had my I've definitely have enjoyed the Assassin's Creed games that I have played. I think I played the first two, and then I played Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe that was the second one. I can't remember. Maybe it was the first three entries I played. And then after that, I played Black Flag, which was like one of my favorites. I mean, you put me on a pirate ship, bro, and you allow me to be in the ocean and visit different like islands and have these big like epic um ship battles on the sea, jumping across to other people's boats. And I mean, bro, the story was just epic in so many ways. Black Flag was probably my favorite entry into it. But after that, I kind of fell off, even though they've had some really dope other games that have certainly been out there. It is one that I think you can, look, I don't know how the overall story has continued to build over video game to video game if it continues to be connected. I mean, it felt very heavy-handed in regards to the lore and just the history behind a lot of that stuff of what they were, from the first video game of what they were trying to find in regards to like the creation, the moment of creation of what whatever the case might have been, the apple of from the Garden of Eden and all this other like it eventually just got like it started blowing my mind to the point that I'm like, I don't even know where you go from here after the first couple of entries. So like you, while I've dabbled in Assassin's Creed, I haven't kept up with it narratively. So I would be interested to see what they do with this. But because there's so much lore here, I think the idea of like picking a new setting, something that's never been explored before, but taking what has worked from Assassin's Creed and implementing it in here, just the basics and stuff, and then maybe expanding upon it as we get through this series. I think series will certainly work really well for this, compared to just trying to cram all that stuff and those concepts within one kind of movie. So this gives me hope that they're kind of going in the right direction with this and doing something unique to the franchise, but keeping what works in it. So we'll see how it turns out. But I'm kind of intrigued for sure.
Yeah. I will say this, man, with the movie though. It's funny because I usually love Michael Fassbender as an actor, but that was like one of his worst roles. And I think the only time I actually believed his performance was when like he had all the different people giving him like very vague exposition, and he just kind of goes, what the fuck does this even mean? The way he said it, it felt like that wasn't even acting. That felt like Michael Fassbender actually getting really confused by the plot.
By the plot. Yeah, I wonder if that movie. I feel like I haven't seen Michael Fassbender in a lot of things. I mean, I feel like he's here and there, but I do wonder if like that impacted any momentum that he might have had at the time in Hollywood in regards to like putting him in big budget films, kind of going forward. 'Cause I feel like he's kind. If he has had a film, maybe those are kind of under the radar after his time in Assassin's Creed. But I don't know. I'm kind of curious as to if it had any effect on him.
Mhm.
Marcelo says, the original Assassin's Creed followed the approach of the Fallout show where it takes place in the same world as the games, but it was, I guess, done very poorly.
Are you sure? Because they use things that contradict the games, from what I've heard. I say that because I have friends that are really into it, but from what I hear, there's a lot that contradicts the game. So I thought it was just kind of like set in its own world.
Hmm, gotcha. But yeah, guys, that will do it for all of our main topics here today. So thank you guys so much for certainly sticking around with us as we went through some pretty big topics here this week. We always love you guys with the super chats this week. Thank you so much for continuing to support the show in that way and voicing your opinions and thoughts on a lot of these topics. But Stuart, I think you know what time it is.
I do indeed. And now, everybody, it is time for live viewer questions.
And we're going to get into our live viewer questions portion of the show. This is where you guys submitted questions to us as of yesterday. We get to answer them live on air for you guys. So for those of you who don't know, when it comes to live viewer questions, if you ever want to submit a live viewer question, every Saturday afternoon or evening, we will make a post over on our YouTube channel. Just go over to our YouTube channel as you see here. Click on that post tab right here. And after you've subscribed to the channel, obviously. But then you will see a live viewer question post. We got 13 comments here. Stuart, let's try and breeze through some of these questions if we can, just because I think my girlfriend got some things she's got to attend to today. So let's try and make some of these answers quick and succinct, despite some of these questions probably being relatively long. But let's do our best. Marky
Yeah.
Parko Marvel Studios' decision to re-release the epic Avengers Endgame in theaters September 25, 2026 is a brilliant strategy, generating massive fan excitement and providing the perfect emotional bridge to the highly anticipated Avengers Doomsday hitting screen just 3 months later. The move is designed to reignite the magic of the Infinity Saga's finale and remind audiences of the high stakes before the next monumental team-up film. Given the financial and emotional success of the original, it promises a shared communal experience for new and veteran fans alike. So we got two questions here. Adam, what is the single most iconic line or moment you are most looking forward to experiencing again on the big screen? And then Stuart, do you think this re-release is more about genuinely preparing fans for Doomsday or simply an attempt to challenge Avengers Avatar's box office record once again? You might have
Yes.
they want that number one spot back, huh?
Yes, I say yes to both. I think it is a mixture. There are multiple decisions as to why, but I do think both play a factor. They want to get fans caught up so they remember what happens in Endgame, but they're also still kind of petty about Avatar doing that to them when they back in 2019. So they're like, no, we're taking it back from Avatar.
That's so funny, dude. That's so funny.
It's even funnier now because they're owned by the same company. So, like, what does it matter which one has the bigger cells?
It's just all about bragging rights at this point, you know?
Exactly.
Like, no, our movie was the best, though. Our movie was the best. What's the single most iconic line or moment you are most looking forward to experience again? I mean, iconic line. I mean, Avengers Assemble, bro. Avengers Assemble. I gotta experience that again. And most iconic moment, Captain America picking up Thor's shield and whipping that ass. I'm hoping that the theater has the same level of enthusiasm and excitement it did of seeing that moment for the first time because I mean it was just a ruckus in the theaters. I mean, people were just loud, like just applauding. They were so hyped for it. That and then the charge moment where everybody's just running in the battle, and you've got that epic landscape of it, all our heroes facing off against our villains. I mean, you know, for people that like, I, Avengers Infinity War and Endgame. Infinity War is one of the best Marvel movies we've had up there, top three for sure. But for some reason, I've seen a lot of like rewriting of history lately about Avengers Endgame, and people talking about it's not that great of a movie. It's not that great of a movie. Look, I think, especially together, I think they are an unstoppable force for the MCU. But Avengers Endgame has so many moments of payoff that regardless of like what that first half of the movie might have been, maybe it was too slow for some people, maybe it was a little bit of a drag for some people. I don't know. But the final battle alone, I mean, is worthy of like its own movie. Like it's worthy of making Avengers Endgame as one of the best films that the MCU has ever put out. And this nitpicking lately that I feel like I've been seeing, I think is really unwarranted, because it almost feels like if you weren't there to experience it in theaters, you just don't know what it was.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a life-changing moment, especially for me. I mean, I remember the first time I saw we went and saw whatever movie was leading up to the first Avengers movie. I think it was Captain America: The First Avenger. I remember after that movie wrapped and finished, they had a teaser of the Avengers movie.
Yes.
And I remember me and my friend Jonathan looking at each other, and we literally hugged each other. Like we hugged each other and we're just watching them scream like, oh my God, like I can't believe, like the fact that we live in a world where we had an Avengers movie actually happen. And then we got 20 incredible to good of MCU films to lead up to Avengers Endgame and have the culmination that we did. I've never experienced anything like it in the movies in my entire life. So people can shit on Avengers Endgame these days all they want to, but you had to have been there to really experience the moments, especially with the crowd and just what they were able to do cinematically that will never be done again. And so does Endgame maybe have its faults? Absolutely, but there's so much more greatness in Doom's in Endgame that makes up for everything else for me personally. So I will love that movie to my grave. May not be, I mean, maybe it's top five. I'm not quite sure. Greatest MCU films of all time. I'm not sure where people put Endgame, but the final act of that film is chef's kiss, my man. Chef's kiss.
Yeah,
Anyway,
like there are nitpicks I could give about the writing of the movie, but the thing is, like the payoff, as you said, that's why you go to see it.
that's why
That
you go
payoff,
to see
that feeling you got after like 10 years of buildup, and then finally getting to see it all, like, you know, in the climax. That was what made it worth it.
it. And I say give short answers. I'm here giving an essay. I'm sorry, bro.
All good.
Nathaniel, what do you think? Chris Bremer, writer of Bad Boys for Life, is reportedly developing Men in Black film and is hoping to bring back Will Smith, potentially serving as a direct sequel to the original trilogy and a fresh start after the poorly received Men in Black International. Although the actor's name often sparks discussion about the infamous Oscar slap, this project suggests that the 10-year Academy ban hasn't stopped his pursuit of major film roles, especially in familiar franchises. Do you believe a return to the series with Will Smith would revitalize the Men in Black franchise, or is the public too distracted by past controversies? No, I think it. I think it'll be. I think it'll revitalize Men in Black. Honestly, as much as I love Tommy Lee Jones, I mean the face of the Men in Black franchise is Will Smith, and I didn't think Bad Boys for Life would be reinvigorated, but they did two really enjoyable Bad Boy movies after they had been gone for such a long time, and it really reinvigorated Bad Boys also. So if you could capture that same magic that you were able to do with Bad Boys by bringing back Will Smith in a Men in Black, who is literally the face of the franchise, I think it would revitalize Men in Black, honestly.
Yeah, I obviously I think it'll mostly depend on the script itself, but I think that like I don't think his Oscar moment is going to take away from the impact that he had on the franchise. So I think that, you know, regardless, people will still definitely come to see it, and I think that as long as it's a good movie, it'll definitely be what can revitalize the franchise. And then hopefully lead to a 21 Jump Street crossover again.
Marcelino says, I think Men in Black International is a bit underrated and genuinely good. I haven't seen it, so I have no opinion on it.
I wanted to like it so badly.
But, let's see here. Peg C with Super Sentai ending its 50-year run. What are your thoughts on Toei wanting to put more focus on metal heroes, getting its time to shine with the new series called Super Space Sheriff Gavin Infinity? Have you got a chance to see the teaser trailer for Project Red? And he says the global success of MMPR really saved the original Super Sentai franchise from cancellation. According to the Toei executives, the Super Sentai series was on the verge of extinction before the American adaptation. So they produced Zoo Ranger with the understanding that it might be the final entry. Yeah, two things here. I am fascinated to learn just how much how dependent I think Super Sentai became on Power Rangers. I would have thought maybe it was the other way around at times, but to kind of hear one of the Toei executives really praise Power Rangers for saving Super Sentai as much as it was, and then to kind of see now that Power Rangers has kind of been canceled, Super Sentai finds themselves suffering also. That might be from some of the toy deals and things like that they've kind of lost also based off of the Hasbro acquisition, but it really shows just how dependent Super Sentai had been on Power Rangers for so long.
Mm-hmm. Not something I knew about, but something that didn't really surprise me, if that makes sense.
I get you. Have you had the chance to see the teaser trailer for Project Red, and are you excited at any level for this Super Space Sheriff Gavin Infinity?
I'm very intrigued. I've never watched any of the Metal Heroes shows, but I've always been intrigued just because I always thought they had a really cool design to them.
Yeah.
And I've loved them. I'd loved the looks of them when I watched like a couple episodes of VR Troopers and Big Bag Beetleborg. So I am kind of curious to see an actual and I think I will actually for the first time actually go back to watching this weekly. I almost said watching Sentai weekly, but I guess this technically doesn't count as watching Sentai. But regardless, I am definitely going to be watching the show when it comes out. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it too. To the point to where I'm actually debating if I want to review this show under the A plus more phenomenal banner. Um, the YouTube channel I know is still active for A plus more phenomenal. Um, I still get comments every now and then on there from like old videos that I've posted. So low key, there's a part of me that's like, maybe I'll maybe I'll do reviews for Super Space Sheriff Gavin Infinity because I find myself getting quite hyped for this show. But as somebody that I've only seen Space Sheriff Gavin like in crossover events, I haven't really seen any of the past stuff. I'm just like I kind of want to dive into this world and just kind of check out this new series. So I may do reviews for the show. I may do it. Um,
Awesome.
he says a new Godzilla anime series is in the works and being produced by Orange Igloo Studio. What are your thoughts? I did see a screen capture or like an image of the anime series, but I don't know too much about it. Is it going to be like on Netflix or a streaming service that's accessible, Crunchyroll or something like that? I don't know too much about it, but new Godzilla I'm always open for.
Yeah. I've never been a big fan of the anime Godzillas that they've done in the past. Like there was the trilogy that I think started off really well, but immediately lost me in the second film. And then there
Mm.
was another anime series on Netflix. And I've actually never seen. I haven't seen it
Oh,
yet, but it did feature Jet Jaguar, which I thought was pretty cool.
um, was that the heavy CGI one?
No,
Like
I
the
think that was
trilogy
the
of
that was the
Godzilla?
trilogy. Yeah,
Oh, okay,
that
okay.
used a lot of CG.
Gotcha. With Paramount simply putting Last Ronin on hold in favor of the TMNT live action movie, would you agree that they should go back to using live stuntmen in suits like they did back in the 90s? I was thinking about this the other day because we were talking about it, and I said one of the things that I personally would love to see is more practical suits, like people in suits. I'm wondering, and I said I hope they go the cheaper route. I said no. What I said was I hope they don't go cheap and do just CGI turtles and actually put in the work for the suits. I am kind of curious if it would cost them more to go more practical with stuntmen or if it would be more expensive on the CGI route. I feel like they probably would lean CGI regardless, but I personally would love to see them go more practical with stuntmen.
I 100% agree. I think they're going to go CGI. I would love to see them do like practical costumes like they did in the 90s, especially because those costumes I still think look incredible. And they were done with such a low budget. So I can only imagine like how cool you could do with modern technology now and a much bigger budget. But I think they would go with CG for no other reason than it's a safer bet with use relying on animatronics. You risk the malfunctioning, you risk like things not looking as good as you predicted in your head. But as CG, you can constantly like adjust as you're going. It's easier to fix like mistakes with computer effects than it is to fix it if you're already filming with something practical. So I think that will be the main reason they do CG. But yes, I do wish they would go and go back to the costumes again, because I think with what we could do now, if they really put a
Yeah.
lot of work into it, I think it could look like something like absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Um, Marcelino, after the failure of both Halo and The Acolyte, there's something people have noticed about sci-fi TV shows, and that's high-scale epic sci-fi does not work for streaming. When the streaming era started, we all assumed that we get movie quality like TV shows. But both Halo and The Acolyte were given budgets of movies. But there's a difference between using a movie budget for 1 2 hour movie and using a movie budget for an 8 hour TV show. The budget then has to be stretched out, which comes across certain scenes as cheap or very low scale. Halo was about the last of humanity fighting against an alien invasion filled with futuristic spaceships, weapons, aliens, etc. And adapting Halo into a TV show can't do the game's justice. The writers are forced to make character drama series about a bunch of humans' personal lives. The Acolyte and by extension the rest of the Star Wars show have the same issues and would have worked better as movies. House of the Dragon and Andor both very quality, but that's because the show is shot on location. Not much budget has to go into making overcomplicated sci-fi spaceships or aliens. Um, So I guess I guess I don't really see a question, but um, I guess he's asking the question like, um, I guess maybe should big sci-fi be contained to television shows based off of their budget or movies? Because I guess he's assuming them as sci-fi TV shows aren't necessarily working.
Um, I I don't know because I'd have to look at other sci-fi shows out there with their budget currently because I know like you mentioned like other Star Wars shows, but I do think that I would consider like if you don't want to consider Andor, okay, but I would still consider like the Mandalorian and Ahsoka to be like high budget sci-fi, and I would say like
Star
both of
Trek?
them. Yeah, oh yeah, and then of course Star Trek: Strange New Worlds. But I also don't know for sure if like the budgets are as big as like Halo and the Acolyte. Like maybe not, but I do think that those are all like big budget sci-fis that have worked really well. I know that a lot of people have their complaints about like modern Star Trek, but I think that like Strange New Worlds in particular is one that a lot of fans seem to agree works pretty well. Even given its budget. So I don't know. I think it's like kind of to me, it feels like it's a case by case kind of situation. I don't think high budget sci-fi necessarily leads to a disastrous TV show. I just think it just means you got to adjust how you tell that story if you're going to be given that much money to tell that story with, and maybe like be smarter of how you utilize that budget.
Yeah, I mean, I think it still comes down to story, 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 outside of just necessarily, budget. Like, um, like the story for Obi-Wan, I think Obi-Wan could have been a movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was just based off of the structure, not so much how much money you spent towards it, but what's the story you're telling? Does it feel like you're stretching a story too thin in order to encompass 6 or 8 or 10 episodes, and utilizing that budget correctly? I think if anything, it really comes down to just the story that you want to tell. And I would have then have rather taken something um, uh, like an Obi-Wan as an example, as something that instead of they turned into a series, they would have turned into a movie. I think maybe movie wise, had they approached it that way, maybe it would have come across a little bit better. But I don't know if it's that they're not working for streaming because of the budget so much is being stretched as it is. um if the stories that you're trying to tell should be for movies but you're making them for television. Sometimes I hear people say like, oh, this is like an 8 hour movie. In some cases, I like Stranger Things, I feel like, yeah, that feels like a 8 episode. Like, I feel like when I watch Stranger Things, um there are special effect elements that are included in a show like that, but they utilize their story structure and their time perfectly. So it feels like every episode I'm watching is a movie, right? Like Stranger, I literally watched the finale of season 4 last night, and it's like 2.5 hours long. Like it feels like a movie production, right? So I think it's more or less finding the right story for some of these sci-fi shows that fit better either as movies or televisions shows and going the correct route with them. Um, More so than you can't make a successful sci-fi TV show because of its budget. I think it still comes down to story, story, story.
Yeah.
Um, with Super Sentai ending in season 50, you're reminded of during Abba Ranger Sentai was almost canceled. Uh, Abba Killer was originally going to be evil from start to finish and never turn good. Maybe even be the final villain by the end. That was until TV Asahi told the writers to turn him good because the sponsors threatened to cancel Super Sentai and that every ranger should turn good to make their brand look good. They even threatened to cancel Sentai entirely if they didn't comply. Many fans have called the higher ups hypocrites by pointing out that in the same series, they were perfectly fine filming an episode in a suicide forest and that there was a 5-second sex scene in episode 9. Ooh, episode 9. I have to go back and watch that episode. What are your thoughts when you hear this? That they told the writers to turn him good because the sponsors threatened to cancel Super Sentai and that every ranger should turn good to make their brand look good. Yet they were perfectly fine filming an episode in a suicide forest, and there was a 5-second sex scene in episode 9. I don't really know how to feel about it. I guess I need maybe more context. I haven't seen any of those. I mean, are they connected in any way?
I think that like whenever it comes to like big like the top producers of like I mean I could use Saban as like the funny example because like you know the American version of it, but yeah I think that like the problem with people with a lot of success is they are incredibly good at justifying dumb decisions in their mind, the decisions that make no sense. So I could
True
see,
that.
you know, even if it goes against the story, someone thinking, oh yeah, no, this character has to turn good or else it looks bad on us. So close-minded on that one small thing that they miss like the bigger picture of, hey, you're filming this in a very insensitive kind of area, you know, somehow that goes over their head. But the idea
Right.
of you know, for some reason the idea of a ranger not turning good, that's what they're like dead focused on. Yeah, you know, decisions like that from big CEOs, yeah, I find them, you know, hypocritical but not surprising, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think you said it well, Stuart, for sure. Um, Shout out also to Johnny Dome for coming in to chat today. Appreciate you coming through, Johnny. Since everyone in every group is against Netflix, I don't think they can get WB. Yeah, we'll have to see. They definitely seem like they have an upward battle to climb. Um, I even heard somebody say that they think this is David Zaslav's plan is to go with Netflix, knowing that it's not going to pass muster, and still acquire $5 billion from Netflix.
He's the
And
kind of
like,
guy that would do that.
and
I mean,
for the cancel fee, and just like keep Warner Brothers just like in this mess for a while. I would be interested. Because look, even though it's important to understand that even though Netflix has won the bidding war, okay, the process of this is going to be like at least a year for all this to kind of transpire, I believe, um, based off of everything that I've been hearing. So, you know, it does beg the question: like, does Warner Brothers even truly want to sell? Does David Zaslav just want to see how much money he could possibly get, so that when it is time to maybe reopen the bidding again, he's got like a floor as to as to what can be offered, and so maybe it'll be more in the future. They have talked about that they personally wanted to split up Warner Brothers from their streaming and studio side of things and separate it from their television assets. Maybe that's something that he's still kind of open to. So it wouldn't be far fetched if David Zaslav completely understands that this isn't going to go through. but just
Mhm.
wants to muddy the waters a bit so that he can still get a cancellation free from Netflix and keep Warner Brothers sort of off the market while they try and sort things out and come up with a better plan. I have no idea, but it'll be an uphill battle for sure if this Netflix thing does go through.
Remember, this is the kind of guy that ran a company into a ground and then gave himself a raise for it. So if this was like part of some like insidious plan, I would not be shocked in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, for sure. Paramount getting WB will make them a more direct comparator to Disney, like Star Trek versus Star Wars, Marvel versus DC, and others. Yeah, I just don't like the people in charge. I just don't believe that their motivations are good ones at all. I think Paramount, yeah, it might make them a direct competitor, but I still think of them as a monopoly. You got two major movie studios together acquiring everything from not just the movie side of things, but television assets as well. I believe Warner Brothers controls CNN right now. That's another news industry in media that Paramount would then be controlled under. And we know how Paramount is currently leaning just from a political kind of standpoint, right? Like that's just more like it's just really dangerous, I think, for a society, for one company to have that type of power and leverage over what it is that people see, what it is that people think, what it is that they're digesting, sort of thing. And John says, no matter who gets it, it'll be a monopoly. Absolutely. And I think that's one of the reasons why we have both said we don't want WB to sell. Like they don't need to. Like they've had such a great track record financially this year with some of the greatest movies that they've put out. Like Mike Abdi or Mike DeLuca, was it Pam Abdi or Pam DeLuca? I can't remember. But the people in charge of Warner Brothers Studios right now have been putting out some great movies. Like Warner Brothers is making, like they do not need to sell. So I think Netflix and Paramount is a lose-lose situation for Warner Brothers Discovery. So I really wouldn't want any of them, honestly. But yeah.
I will say this though, I still would prefer Netflix over Paramount because again, the direction that Paramount's going, I think is it's pretty dangerous, as they've kind of proven to the point where they will kiss up to the president and stuff like that. And it's like we've already kind of set the standard of okay, we'll kiss up to any politician. So it's like, yeah, that's I think that's just really, really dangerous when, if someone doesn't like something they say about them, they can just tell Paramount, hey, I don't like that Steve Colbert said this mean thing about me, cancel him now. And then, things like that'll become more and more of a, reality. So yeah, I think that they both suck. Netflix is definitely, out of the two of them, the lesser of the two evils, though, I think.
Yeah, I agree. He says Comcast is best, but sadly they aren't and can't afford it. Yeah, I would agree. I would agree.
Yeah. You
Um,
know what I would have loved though, if freaking Tubi was the one who ended up buying Warner Brothers, my favorite streaming service out there, because it's completely free. Imagine Tubi winning the bidding war.
I love it. Marcelo does have another question here. It says, what do you think of Jenny Olsen, aka female Jimmy Olsen in Man of Steel? For full context, Rebecca Buller played Jenny, who was a C-list character and is only famous for being Screaming Girl, where she trapped under some rubble and Lawrence Fishburne was trying to save her. Despite the fact that the character's full name being Jenny Gerwig, the tie-in comic refers to her as Jenny Olsen, and the actress was always under the impression that she was playing a female version of Jimmy. This caused a lot of controversy because how do you turn Jimmy into a girl? I always found this controversial, both stupid and funny, because Jenny is just a forgettable C-list damsel in distress. She gets nothing to do. Well, we had a Jimmy Olsen in the DCEU. He was in Batman versus Superman. Got killed off, if I'm not mistaken, relatively early. So I don't see her as a female Jimmy Olsen. I mean, if the character's full name is Jenny Gerwig, that's the character's name. I mean,
Yeah.
the actress might have seen herself as a female version of Jimmy Olsen because she got to be in the Daily Planet and stuff. But if she's Jenny Gerwig, she's Jenny Gerwig. She's not Jenny Olsen, and we've had a Jimmy Olsen in the MCU. I mean, in the DCEU already.
Yeah, pretty much
Mm.
what you said. Like, I wouldn't consider her the gender bent Jimmy Olsen because we already
Yeah,
had Jimmy Olsen. So even if that's what she thought, I don't think that was like ever the intention.
yeah, I don't think
Um,
so.
as for what I think of her character, I mean, very, very, very forgettable. Like, I mean, you even said it yourself in the question. Her only role was to be, rescued by Perry White.
Yeah, pretty much. Um, watching watching Sarsk. What's up, watching? And Back to the Future Part 3, Marty McFly. First off, I think this is your first question, so I appreciate you submitting a question over to us. In Back to the Future Part 3, Marty McFly meets his infant uncle Joey in 1885 and mentions that the adult Joey will eventually go to prison, referring to him as Joey the Lip. The movie never reveals the crime for which Joey is incarcerated as an as an adult in the future. What offense do you think led to adult Joey Baines imprisonment? Well, this would have been what,
Um,
back in the 80s, right?
yeah, oh man, okay, so I think it could have been drugs because this is the 80s. So things like marijuana would have been considered like a criminal offense if he had possession of marijuana. And the reason I say drugs specifically is because Marty's mom, in the bad, in the bad present time is a full-on alcoholic. So it's a good chance that like addiction runs in her family. So if I had to guess, I'm going to go with drug possession is why he was in prison. Especially because like even when they bring him up at the dinner table, Marty's mom was just kind of like, now kids, everyone makes mistakes. So it kind of seemed like whatever he did wasn't like that bad. But then again, it's a comedy. So for all we know, that could have been like, oh no, it turned out he's a mass murderer. and the joke was that his mom is just so like just done with life that she's like, yeah, whatever. Everyone makes mistakes. I don't know. But
Yeah,
yeah, I'm going
another
with drugs.
yeah, drugs, or I would even say maybe something like robbery or burglary or something like that. You broke into somebody's house, robbed somebody, maybe. I can see something like that. Maybe he's like a habitual stealer and he's constantly in the pen for like robbing people all the time, or like breaking into people's houses and stealing things.
Yeah. Or at the end of the day, they do say in the movie, yeah, for some reason he never wants to leave his crate, which obviously was supposed to be a joke about him, eventually going to prison and getting and having to get used to the bars. But maybe there was more to it. Maybe it wasn't just a joke. Maybe like just he had this thing where he's just always liked being locked up, and so he purposely broke like several laws just so he can go back to jail.
Shout out to Marcelino. Appreciate you
Oh,
coming through
another
with
one.
another
Thank you.
super chat. Many say that Jimmy and BBS was only made to make fun of the Jenny Olsen controversy. Like, here's Jimmy, he's dead now. Shut up. Like, just to make up for it. I mean, who knows? He was so little used. I was kind of surprised that they off our boy Jimmy so quickly. So who knows? Maybe Zack Snyder's got that type of um humor to him.
I didn't even know it was supposed to be Jimmy Olsen until watching the extended version of the movie.
Of the movie.
Because I don't think they say his name in it at all. I think the only reason we know is because in the extended cut they have his name on the
On his
camera.
tag. Oh yeah,
I,
on his tag or something like that.
yeah, but
I
other
can't
than
remember what
that,
it
like
was.
I don't think in the theatrical cut, I don't think there's not even an implication that he's Jimmy Olsen, except for the fact that he has a camera.
Tony Robinson, do you think all the trailers that are dropping for Avengers Doomsday, Supergirl, and other films will be all received well, or will they be mixed? Well, look, I will say I think Supergirl will be received well. I think Masters of the Universe might be mixed whenever that drops. I think Doomsday, man, I don't know. I don't know about Doomsday. Doomsday. I don't know if I will say I don't know if people will be fully satisfied with Avengers Doomsday. And I only say that because we're gonna be like a year out from this movie. Like I'm not expecting anything more than a minute, if that, for Avengers Doomsday. Like I can see this teaser being like 45 seconds or something like that. Maybe it's a minute long. I'm not sure. I think people will probably complain at the length of how much or how little they actually showed for Avengers Doomsday. But I do think the hype is going to be there. Whether or not it's well received, I'm not sure. But I think the hype, the views, the eyes on it are going to be incredible. I think it'll mostly be well received, but I could see some people complaining still.
I really don't know what to expect from Doomsday. It's kind of a wild card at this point. Just because of like the Russo brothers have kind of gone downhill or ever since they did Endgame, but at the same time it might just because maybe they're just really comfortable at Marvel, and when they tried to do their own thing it just didn't work out the way they were expecting. So it's a bit of a wild card. Supergirl, I'm pretty sure will be well received, except by the grifters, who will then call her a girl boss and say that woke is ruining Hollywood. And then Masters of the Universe, dude, I hope it's good. I really do. I'm not going to be shocked if it ends up being really bad, though. But I am keeping my fingers crossed that this movie works.
Yeah, I hope so too, man. When Netflix deal is finalized with WB, do you see them putting all their property there? There or on other services, back on HBO Max, all the properties that are when Netflix deal is finalized with WB, do you see them putting all their properties that are on other services back on HBO Max? I will be interested to see how that plays out, like because it doesn't sound like they're gonna remove HBO Max, at least not right away. So I do wonder if it's gonna be like they just swap movies back and forth. Like they'll have limited time frames on HBO Max and then on Netflix, and then when Netflix is ready to drop it, they'll just put it back onto HBO Max, sort of thing. I'm kind of curious how that'll play out. Do you feel Stranger Things 5 and It Welcome to Derry will stick the landing with their finales? So I have not started Stranger Things 5 yet. That will in fact be, if not tonight, then tomorrow. Um, and I just caught up to Welcome to Derry last night. And I love this show.
Yeah.
It continues to really grow on me. Like I think I had stopped at episode 4, so I missed 2 weeks of it. So I just watched the last 2 weeks yesterday, and it really continues to grow on me. So I think it will stick the landing. I think I'm also under the impression that I don't know if it's going to have a definitive end to this, just because the plan is for 2 more seasons, one to go back to like the 30s or the 20s, and then the next one to go back to like 1908 or something, like the early 1900s. So I am curious to see how the finale will give some sort of end to the main story, but also have us asking questions about the past that makes it relevant for them to travel back to that time. But I have a feeling that it'll stick the landing.
Yeah, when it comes to Welcome to Derry, I think that it'll stick the landing because we kind of have a good idea of what to expect from it. We're not like expecting the ultimate grand finale to it. We're expecting it to lead into the It movie. Same with what we'll be expecting from the next season, it to lead into Welcome to Derry season 1. And etc. So I think two things. I don't think it has as much expectations as Stranger Things, and it doesn't have the 10 years of build up like Stranger Things does. Stranger Things is a whole different can of worms. I hope it sticks the landing. I really do. I'm expecting it to not hit every note that I want it to. I'm expecting to, because it's a season finale. It's a series finale after 5 years. Most series finales will have at least a few things that disappoint me, and it's almost always personal things, like my own biases of what I
Right.
wish they did differently, not necessarily something I would consider bad writing. So I do think it'll stick the landing, I hope, but we got to be prepared to manage our expectations with it, because I think a lot of us are going to want one thing and they're going to give us something else. But I think they're smart enough to not go down the route of Game of Thrones and completely ruin the show with their ending. I don't think it'll be a series ruining ending. I hope not, anyways.
Yeah, I'm hoping not either. Again, I haven't started Stranger Things season 5. But look, I rewatched Stranger Things season 3, and I was like, damn, that was a good season. I finished Stranger Things season 4, and I was like, damn, how could this have been a better season? And now, now I'm going into Stranger Things season 5, and I think what you said is right. Managing our expectations and just living in the story that they provide and seeing if that story holds up and is true to not only the characters but the arc that they've taken us on, and really how it kind of hits us, emotionally. So I think both of these shows will stick their landing, but we'll see. We'll see.
Mhm.
Also, tickets are on sale for Stranger Things season 5 finale. If you want to see Stranger Things, you can go to like the AMC website or Fathom website, whatever, and get tickets for December 31st and January 1st if you want to see the finale on the big screen. Blossom, I still can't believe Super Sentai is ending after 50 years. You think I can still create more Power Rangers with my friend, even though Super Sentai is almost gone? Girl, you can
Of
create whatever you want
course.
to. Yeah. Yeah, let that mind run wild, girl. You still continue to be creative. Power Rangers and Super Sentai don't have to be around for you to continue their adventures or brand new adventures, however you see it. So continue creating, Blossom.
If anything, gives you an excuse to go with kind of more original designs, or you can also go back into earlier, seasons that you may not have adapted into your stories yet, and probably find ways to, adapt those seasons.
Absolutely. Jessica Fryman, with the success of Zootopia 2, do you think we'll get a Zootopia 3? Yes. And if Batwoman had gotten a fourth season, do you think we would have learned what happened to Bruce, and maybe have gotten a Supergirl Batwoman team up episode?
I think we definitely would have gotten the Supergirl Batwoman team up episode. I don't think we would have ever found out what happened to Bruce unless WB was like, okay, you guys can use Batman, but it didn't seem like that was happening anytime soon. I think that was just something they left open in case that would ever happen, but also with the expectation that it probably wouldn't ever happen.
My friends call me Joseph. Am I the only one who realized that when Kevin McAllister was thrilled to be home alone after wishing his family away, finally enjoying the freedom to make himself a big, comfortable plate of macaroni and cheese? However, this quiet meal was interrupted before he could even take a bite when he noticed the sudden presence of the wet bandits outside his house. If the burglars hadn't showed up, do you think he would have finished his entire plate? Justice for Kevin! Oh yeah, he would have murdered that plate.
Oh yeah, would have murdered it and then gotten a little bit sick afterwards, and then been like, "There's a reason my mom makes me eat in moderation."
Absolutely, absolutely. AJ, the morphing grid. Chase Randall's identity struggle and Keeper's wisdom. Was Keeper the first mentor to allow a ranger to reveal their identity? So this is the Power Rangers Dino Supercharge episode, A Date with Danger, focused on the Black Ranger, Chase, and his struggle to pursue a relationship with Kaylee, who was initially put off by his playboy reputation, but quickly developed a crush on his heroic alter ego, the Black Ranger. Chase's dilemma humorously paralleled the Clark Kent Superman identity struggle, as he went so far as to cover up his native New Zealand accent with a fake American one to maintain a facade, a situation even the out of time Blue Ranger Coda found bewildering, pointing out, but you are Black Ranger. Chase's efforts to impress Kaylee as his civilian self failed until he was ultimately forced to reveal his identity when Kaylee witnessed the team morphing. Before this, when Chase consulted his mentor, Keeper, about revealing his identity, Keeper offered a piece of significant wisdom. He questioned whether Chase should even pursue a relationship if it was founded on a secret, prompting Chase to confront the necessity of honesty. The episode concluded with Kayla revealing she already knew the truth, allowing the pair to reconcile, but Keeper's counsel remains remarkable. Was Keeper the first mentor in Power Rangers history to tactfully approve of a Power Ranger revealing their secret identity for personal reasons?
I think so. I can't think of any other season, even the ones where the identities are more publicly known, like in like Lightspeed Rescue or I believe they're known in SPD. But even in those seasons, there's never like kind of that like moment of like whether or not they should reveal it. It's usually just like their identities are just known by the public in those seasons. So yeah, as far as I can think, that's the only time where a mentor has been like, yeah, you know, if it's a relationship based on lies, maybe you should tell her the truth. You know, I think it's just the challenge of that, you know, if you're a mentor, is making sure that you're telling someone the truth about who you are for the right reasons and not just doing it. Like, obviously, I think that at that point, Chase had matured as a character, so he definitely wasn't that same like womanizing douche that he kind of was in the first season. But like you know, in that moment, I think that he was the kind of person that would tell his identity because he cared about them and not because he was trying to impress anyone. You know what I mean?
I get you. Now, I barely remember this episode. Did they end up being together?
I think so. Yeah, I think he ended up like actually having a good relationship with her in the by the end.
Um, I don't know how I feel about this, bro. I don't know how I feel about this. I mean, it says she revealed that she already knew the truth, right? So she didn't like his playboy reputation. She was put off by him, but she had developed a crush for his alter ego, the Black Ranger. She she finds out that he's the Black Ranger, and now all of a sudden she's okay with dating him. Like, come on, girl, come on, girl. Ain't that some bullshit? Like, you're not
Well,
with me because you're not with me because you know I'm the Black Ranger now. So now you want to be with me.
I think it was because he kept like ditching her to be a ranger, and so when she found out, that's when it kind of clicked to her, like, oh, he wasn't ditching me because like, you know, he didn't want to be with me. He was ditching me because he had to like go save the world.
I guess. I don't know. I don't know, Kaylee. I'm watching you now. I'm gonna have to rewatch this episode. I don't trust your ass.
Yeah, it's been a
You,
while, so I'm going by
you
very vague memory.
sounds like Kaylee's in it for all the wrong reasons. But I'm I have to watch it again. Um, Doomsday. What are your thoughts on Netflix of all people buying Warner Brothers? Do you worry about how it'll affect the movie theater experience? Yeah, I think that's my biggest worry is how it'll affect the movie theater experience. I think if anything, you just kind of cheapen it. Honestly, you're hurting movie theaters, you're hurting production studios, you're hurting fans from giving them the amount of time that they need to maybe catch a movie they really want to see in theaters. I'm sure I can continue to go on and on and on. But I do think it will certainly affect the movie theater experience in time. Maybe not necessarily right away, but within the next 5 years for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
What are some of Power Rangers seasons that you tend to rewatch the most of the franchise? For me, it's Time Force, Dino Thunder, Samurai.
Hmm. Uh for me, I think it's definitely RPM, Mighty Morphin, and Time Force.
Yeah, I was gonna say MMPR, Time Force, probably some of that. I feel like I've actually rewatched a lot of the new stuff just because have been reviewing it for such a long time, doing a lot of rewatches of like Beast Morphers and Dino Fury and things like that. And then how do you feel about Avengers Endgame re-releasing in September? Apparently leading into the release of Doomsday. I personally love it, especially since I never saw it on the big screen. Oh,
Ooh,
yo, Doomsday. Get your tickets now. No, I'm just kidding.
yeah.
I doubt they're on sale, but dude, if you get the chance to see it on the big screen, do yourselves a favor, man. It's one of those things where like sometimes I get jealous of people that get to have their first big screen experience, and I can't repeat that anymore, even though it was great for me. But I'm so happy for you. Get definitely check it out. Um, he says, as Spider-Man Far From Home was my first Marvel movie, and I can't believe that I finally have a chance to see it in theaters for the first time. Yeah, treat yourself, man. Treat yourself. Um, I would say the day before, watch Avengers Infinity War, and then the next day, go ahead and check out Avengers Endgame on the big screen, and then thank us later. But I'm so excited for you. I really am. But I think that will do it for all of our live viewer questions today. So, everybody, thank you so much for sharing all your thoughts with us each and every week. Love answering your guys' questions and all the participation you guys had. Johnny Dome had some other comments. We were talking about Jimmy Olsen a little bit. He says Zach getting rid of Grayson, Dick Grayson was dumb too.
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
yeah,
I
that was pretty
forgot.
dumb.
Like that was one thing he said. Like in like just regular interviews, like someone asked if that was meant to be Jason Todd, and he's like, "Nope, that was Dick Grayson that we saw in Batman v Superman."
I mean, I will say from a world building point of view, the image alone I remember was pretty iconic. Like, wow, it was really cool to kind of know time frame wise when this stuff kind of took place in Batman's life. The iconic killing joke sort of moment being displayed in live action to a certain extent, just a hint that it happened. Um, yeah, I thought it was really cool from a world building sort of thematic standpoint, but man, I would have loved to have seen what a Robin in that world kind of looked like for sure, or a Nightwing at least. Clayface might be received well due to the practical effects. Yeah, I feel like it's going to be a while before we see anything for Clayface. I'm curious if that's going to be held off for something like um, a I would say a Comic Con, but I don't know how they feel about going to Comic Cons right now. Um, Supergirl would get hate from the restored group, if you know what I mean. Yeah, I mean, I definitely get it. Look, I was a big fan of Sasha Calle's Supergirl. I definitely wanted to see a movie based around her. But I don't know. I think Supergirl will impress some people. I think it's going to be outside of the box enough to feel like a quirky, fun adventure with, I mean, you got Jason Momoa in there as Lobo. You got Supergirl significantly separating herself from not just being another version of her cousin. I think maybe the tone is what's going to surprise people, and I think they're going to realize how fun this movie could potentially be. So I don't know. I definitely get what Johnny's saying here. There's always going to be that restored group that puts out hate there, but I think it'll be more well received than hated.
Yeah, I think from people who actually just want to see a movie and aren't just looking for an excuse to hate on new DC. I think that it'll be pretty well received.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. I'm hoping so. But I do
I mean,
think
my fiance, who isn't even a Supergirl fan, loved that 2 seconds Amelia Alcock was on screen. She was like, "I can't wait for Supergirl."
yeah, me either. It was like one of my best moments of the entire movie. I really love that moment. So yeah, we'll see. But I definitely expect a new poster and a first look teaser trailer in some capacity for Supergirl sometime here. If not today, then maybe like by Monday or Tuesday for sure. I'm hoping. So let's keep our fingers crossed. And with Avatar, Fire and Ash coming out, I think on the 19th. I expect an Avengers Doomsday trailer to be released also. So I think we got at least 2 to 3 major trailers set to drop before the 19th. So let's keep our eyes out. And of course, we'll certainly talk about it here at A Plus Hero Reports. They may be big enough to where I actually will do a review and give my thoughts and post it here on the channel for you guys before we even talk about it on our weekend show. So definitely look out for that on our YouTube channel. So if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, please click that subscribe button, guys. It definitely will go a long way. And click the bell notification so when we drop brand new videos, you guys will certainly be notified. Again, we got a couple of year ending videos we're going to be dropping for you guys. We're going to be revisiting our most anticipated movies from 2025 and rank them for you to let you know. And then also look forward to the future, most anticipated movies for 2026 for you guys. So look forward to that as well. I see we got 2 new comments. Marcelino says Supergirl from the Superman movie got a whole lot of hate from women for the portrayal of how it reminded them of how men write women. I mean, I first of all, I will say I haven't seen that hate. Honestly, maybe our algorithms are just a little bit different, but I mean, maybe there's some credence to it. But the females that I've seen are pumped for Millie Alcock in the role. Supergirl felt like how men write women where they are written as idiots and annoying and degrading to the point to where they refuse to watch Supergirl because they don't want to watch it. To be fair, um, there's a woman writing Supergirl.
Yeah.
So Anna Noguera. So I'm sure James Gunn is taking the influence from whatever it is that Anna Noguera has written for Supergirl. So a woman is writing Supergirl and Anna Noguera.
It's also we literally see her at her worst when we see her in Superman. She came crashing in completely drunk, so we don't even know what she has been through. We don't know her full story. It was just a small preview, so I don't know. I guess like I can't speak for women, obviously, but I mean, to me, I didn't think it was a bad look for women as a whole. I just thought, oh, this is a new character, and she's this version of Supergirl clearly has some demons that she hides in a bottle. So I can't wait to see how that like kind of gets explored in her own movie.
Yeah, let them cook, man. Let them cook.
Yeah,
Is what I would say to some of those people. But yeah, that will do it for us here, Stuart. If people want to find you on social media, man, where can they find you?
you guys can
Oops,
find
sorry.
me.
Hold on.
Oh, good.
Sorry. Wrong camera. Go ahead.
You guys can find me at Turbos201 over on Instagram, Letterboxd, and TikTok.
And if you want to follow us on social media, you can pretty much find us everywhere. If you're on TikTok, we're over here at Hero Report. We got over 3,000 followers over there. We post a lot of movie trailers for you guys when anything drops. We do some behind the scenes stuff over there as far as featurettes, behind the scenes videos for certain movies. So I'll do like my weekly comic book polls for you guys. May do short discussion videos and clips from our Hero Report show over there as well. If you want to find us on other social media, right here at A Plus Opinions, very active over on our Facebook page. We keep our Facebook page updated on a daily basis with brand new news, information, trailers, posters, new images, anything that drops to keep you guys up to date all throughout the week. And then we take 6 topics from there and we talk about them here on our A Plus Hero Report YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed to the channels, please go ahead and do so. And then, yeah, everywhere else at A Plus Opinions on social media. But that will do it for us here today, folks. We'll certainly see you guys the next weekend. Until then, do us a big favor, as always, guys. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep it A Plus. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye.